Welcome back, everybody. We're live. We got the whole gang back this week after a couple guest weeks. First and foremost, happy birthday to Graven.
Happy birthday!
Thanks, guys.
Yay, Graven!
Sharing
Cha.
his birthday with us in this strange format.
Oh, let's make him regret it.
Let's kill him. Let's kill him.
You're terrible.
Yeah, so saving throw right now. Do it.
No.
Do it with your new dice.
I refuse.
So we're gonna dive back into it with chapter 19. We're up to 19 episodes. Does anybody have any? Yes, please.
Happy Canadian Thanksgiving.
Happy
everyone
Yay!
watching. Back
Real
home.
celebration.
Fuck Anthony's birthday. It's Canadian
It's
Thanksgiving.
Canadian Thanksgiving.
That's right. I give
That's
thanks.
amazing.
Hilarious.
Is there special food you eat on that?
Yeah, it's the same, but just October.
Which is the better
Mom's
month
new.
anyway, so.
Bold. How brave.
Which is
Hot takes.
better month.
October is better. Hot
Sorry.
All right, we're gonna roll the intro, and then we'll be back with the
Yeah.
other intro, and we'll get right into it.
Boom.
And then the
Let's
third
do it.
intro.
Let's go.
It was the
Like when you thought you were invisible.
Yeah, that was real. That was real. That was
All right,
actually my heart stopped for a second.
I can't.
We're back.
Here we go.
In chapter 18, the truth won't set you free.
Oh wow.
Beezaura entered the Genie Temple and was marched immediately to the arbitration chamber, where the Afridi Areko was waiting to receive her. He questioned Beezaura's affiliation with the Light Whistle Estate Club and the corresponding chess pieces, but was unsatisfied with her answers and sent her away to join the others in the lounge adjacent to his room. As we anxiously awaited a judgment on our perceived offenses, We were told to split up into small isolated rooms where we'd be interviewed by the Inquisitors, a pair of Ganassi named Murad and Cipro, who'd been tasked with finding out what our intentions were in accessing these sacred halls. One by one, we endured accusations and pressure from the Ganassi as they attempted to find inconsistencies or weak spots in our story. But after an initial round of questioning, something unusual happened. The Fire Ganassi Cipro approached Beezaura privately to confess that he was sick of the genie's never-ending obsession with seeking vengeance on the light whistles. Desiring freedom from this endless pursuit, Cipro hatched a plan that required our cooperation, and he would reward us by providing a means of escape before Areco could declare us thieves or infiltrators, or possibly just keep us locked up indefinitely, like our recent acquaintance, Shalir Olavinus. We would pretend to have desirable information regarding the light whistles and show a willingness to cooperate, which would give us access to the Sanctum, a section of the temple reserved for magical experimentation, building traps, puzzles, and most importantly, applying curses. The genies had developed enchanted crystals that carried something Cipro referred to as the Curse of the Jinn, a powerful spell capable of tracking your whereabouts anywhere you go, including across alternate planes of existence. Also held in the Sanctum were a number of rare creatures for the purposes of study, including a number of Zhugs, elusive little creatures with the ability to teleport and warp to other dimensions. The idea was simple in theory. Imbue the Curse of the Jinn into one of these Zhugs, set it free, and escape without being noticed so that Areco would believe that one of his prisoners, who possessed information that he greatly desired, had disappeared off the material plane. Cipro marched us to the Sanctum and talked his way through the Ganassi there before placing a decoy curse on Graven that proved sufficient to fool Areco into thinking the correct one had been applied. When the coast was clear, we hurried to the room where the exotic creatures were being held and decided that inducing maximum chaos would keep the Sanctum busy while we slipped out the back. So we unlocked all the cages, and Cipro snagged a Zhug to affix the Curse of the Jinn to before it warped away. Sliding through the chute designed for discarding magical waste, we landed in a series of tunnels with an excess of unstable arcane debris and thick gray ooze that appeared to be runoff from magical experimentation. With some clever maneuvering of a plow-like device that Safira discovered, we bypassed the hazardous refuse, and it seemed like we were moments from the surface when Cipro got his foot caught on some of the goo, which triggered a flurry of angry insects to descend upon us. With injuries mounting and a few moments of flirting with disaster, we forced our way through the arachnids and their webs to reach a portal that deposited us on the surface, seemingly not far from the boardwalk that we fell from earlier that day. Cipro wanted no part of our plan to head back toward the temple to reunite with Erland and Jillian, and scurried off in the opposite direction without so much as a farewell nod. As we sought to bring the party back to its full strength, we thought to ourselves, what value, if any, did this ancient knowledge about the light whistles and their chess pieces have? How long would the genies be preoccupied by Cipro's wild goose chase? And would the relic that Orba stole be enough to cover our imminent medical expenses? We find out now in Chapter 19 of A Peek Beneath the Veil. At the mouth of a long stone tunnel, Erland sits in quiet meditation, while Jillian paces leisurely back and forth. She stops for a moment, pick up a small rock. She turns it over in her hands a few times, feeling the weight of it before lobbing it into the brush, causing a small bit of rustling, and a squirrel kind of goes darting away in the opposite direction. Jillian turns and she looks over to an Earth Ganassi that's been stationed just inside the tunnel, wearing the same white robes that you've seen so many times today. Sort of a disapproving scowl on his face. He raises an eyebrow at Jillian's sort of fidgeting, and she holds her hands up, sort of in a half-hearted apology. Sorry. Just a bit bored. I'm bored because my companions have done nothing wrong, and your master is truly taking his time for something that could be easily verified, not to mention the gift of whatever information the Halfling has provided. And the Earth Ganassi stands there, doesn't say anything. And Jillian takes one step towards him. That's a good point. If we have nothing to hide, why would I negotiate for one of my friends as collateral? Well, I'll tell you, but you have to promise to keep it a secret. And she steps in another step closer to the Earth Genasi. We're in love. I know, it sounds crazy. But we have so much in common. We both love traveling. We both love sitting on our asses doing nothing. We love staring at mute Genasi, that I'm starting to think is only posted here as a stalling tactic, so you have more time to do whatever it is you're doing with the other four. And finally, the Earth Genasi speaks.
Genies don't lie.
Well, the only creatures in the world stupid enough to believe that genies don't lie is their naive elemental offspring. And Jillian and the Genasi are now very, very close, less than a couple feet apart, sort of locked in this tense stare down. And a couple seconds go by without a sound. And the Genasi kind of grits his teeth. And just as it seems like one of them's about to break and say something, you hear a sound. And the symbols at the entrance to the tunnel light up with a red glow. And Jillian and the Genasi look up, and from the front of the tunnel all the way to the back on the inside portion, they continue to light. Over their heads and to the back. And they both kind of follow the glow. And Jillian gives you a quick look, and she pulls out a dagger and stabs the Genasi in the neck. And she pulls it and stabs him again, and off to the side. I'm hoping that that means our little crew has found a way out. I think it's time to get back to the horses.
I've come out of meditation upon witnessing a murder. Yes, or is this according to plan?
I'm not sure yet, and she's wiping kind of a bloody dagger off on a sleeve, and she puts it back in a belt.
Do you know what those mean?
It looks to me that someone has escaped. I'm hoping that's our friends, and if it's not, well, the two of us sounds pretty good too.
Agreed.
And the two of them start to move. And they move through the sort of brush and trees, and it's thick, and the ground's a little soft, and they make haste, sort of swatting away some low-hanging branches, and they're stepping over some of the thorny bushes that nip at your ankles. And you hear a low grumbling, and there's sort of a gentle shaking of the ground. And it sends a number of sort of small critters scattering throughout the woods. We're looking for a large crown's gold tree. That's where we tied up the horses.
All right.
Should be back this way. And she sort of takes a few steps ahead of you.
Okay, I follow her.
And eventually, you guys come upon a sort of wall of rock and earth that's extended up to your left and right. And Jillian points upward at a tree that looks like it has two sort of slash marks cut into it. We came from there. You can see the tree that I marked, but the ground here has risen. I think they're trying to sink the ground around the temple. Any tricks, nature boy? Otherwise, we're climbing. And she looks up. And she puts one hand on the wall.
Wait a moment. You're planning on climbing this?
Well, unless you've got a better idea.
I may.
Let's hear it.
Give me a moment. So okay, if I get to the tree up top, there's no way to like get her, I guess.
There's a number, so because it basically was ground that now is shifted.
Yeah.
A number of trees that were along that sort of fault line.
Yeah.
The roots are jutting out, like out of the side of the wall. So if you went up, you could maybe grab a root and lower it down.
Oh, okay. So I'd be able to like help her.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, I'm gonna say to her like, give me a moment. On one condition.
All right.
No questions.
Okay.
Great. And is there a tree near me?
There's lots of trees, yeah.
Great. I'm gonna go to one of the trees and... This is such a bad idea. I'm gonna go to one of the trees and I am going to use tree stride.
Okay.
So Erland's going to sort of go up to the tree. He's never done this before. So he's gonna go up to the tree,
Great.
like put his hands against it and sort of start to move into
And
it.
it takes a moment, and Jillian kind of waits, and she's sort of looking back towards where you guys came from. And for a second, the tree feels solid, and you continue to push, and then your hand goes into the tree, and you step into it. What? And are you coming out on the top
I'm
there?
coming out on the top tree.
And she
which
watches you disappear into the tree, and then looks up, and stepping out of a tree near the edge, Erland steps out of the tree.
So that gets me to level. So
Great.
It's not I don't even have to.
So you've hit your maximum.
Do you still want me to even
No,
roll?
you don't need to
Yeah.
roll that. So you've hit your maximum. Roll a d12.
A D12.
Yep.
That's a lot of
I've
numbers.
never used a D12. Is this a D12? I've never
So it
used one.
inflicts a
that's
random
a
D10.
negative affliction to you.
Here's the 12.
I rolled a 12.
12.
Oh.
Okay, so you feel, as soon as you step out of the tree, your body sort of feels as if the air is sucked out of you. And as your foot hits the ground, immediately, like, your leg feels thin and weak, and you're hit with lethargy. So your speed is halved,
Oh, wow.
and you have disadvantage on both dexterity and strength saving throws.
It'll be fine.
It's great. You're just a
It's just
monster.
some minor.
I've dealt with that a couple of times.
And how long does that last?
Until your sepsis level is below its maximum.
Until it's below its maximum. Oh, so in that case, should I roll to see if I'm at a 6 or a 5?
No, you can't go above
Oh, I
it. You're
see, I
just
see.
at your maximum.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, nature boy.
Baby needs to sleep.
Nature
So she
boy.
watches Erland step
Thought
out,
his
and
meditation
his
was-
skin seems almost thin, and you can see a lot of the veins like protruding from in his face and around his eyes. And he steps out.
Is there, as I sort of collapse down to one knee as I come out of the tree for a second, is there something that I can lower down to help her come up?
Yeah, there's a number of branches. There's a number of roots that are sticking out. You could take one and kind of yank it. And
Yeah.
lower
So
it
I'm
down.
gonna grab I'm gonna sort of regain as much strength as I can and grab a root and
Great.
sort of pull
So
it
you have
to
to
the
kind
side.
of yank it partly out of the ground. Make an athletics check.
Ooh, thank God.
Oh, so not at disadvantage?
Yeah, that's just saving throws.
Yeah, athletics.
Yeah.
14.
14, great. So you go down, and even with the sort of weakness in you, you're able to, and you do that kind of where you rip it in sections, you pull it, and it's kind of, and you're able to get the whole root out, and you start to lower it down.
Real quick, so if I do other, now that I'm at full sepsis level, does that mean that I can
can't
no
use it.
longer
Yes.
use any?
Yeah.
Great. It's like, well, if I'm poisoned, might as well.
Might as well be
Stack the poisons on.
Yeah, I think it says there if you're at
Okay,
right,
cool,
so you
cool.
can't do
So yeah, I'm gonna sort of pull it out of the ground and lower it down and
Great. And she
and
sort of,
gesture to
a
Jillian.
wide-eyed Jillian kind of watches the root get lowered down, and she grabs it and pulls and puts her feet up on the wall and starts to pull herself up. And she's starting to climb up, and as she's doing so, you can hear a little bit of through the brush, and you see pop out of one of the bushes. It looks like similar to the ice creatures that you fought inside the temple, but made of earth. It has like soil, dirt, and dust. And a couple of them are like coming up out of the bushes, and they start to like get a running start, and they have these little like imp wings, and they start to flutter, and they're coming at Jillian. So she's holding on the rope, and they're kind of coming up. I'm coming, and she pulls, and she's gonna make her own athletics check. And she starts to pull, and she gets kind of 1 foot caught in a little bit of the sort of mushy dirt, and in doing so gives one of the creatures an opportunity to attack her, which it does, so it sort of gives her a quick claw, and she tries to sort of spin and tumble away, but she can't do so. And she takes a little bit of damage. So the cut happens, and then she kind of gives it a poof, one kick, and then she starts to climb again.
Good.
And she keeps climbing, and finally she reaches up with her hand,
Yeah.
give it a pull,
Pull
make
her
an
up.
athletics check.
Athletics 9.
9, okay, you give it a pull, and the two of you kind of, it feels like you're at the edge where the stirred is soft and it starts to give way a little bit. You pull her up, and she gets a hand on one of the sort of stronger roots up there, and she pulls herself up. But the sort of slowness of the event, it gives each of the creatures a quick opportunity to take a strike, one at you and one at Jillian.
Oh my goodness.
13 to hit.
Misses.
And the other one misses. So the two of you you grab her and you pull, and the two of you tumble backwards, and the creatures kind of take 2 swipes, and then they kind of flutter down as they can only they can't really fly, they can only kind of glide or flutter. And well, that was something new.
Where are the horses?
Let's go. Are you going to make it?
I'll be fine. I need to rest as soon as we can.
All right. And she starts to move. She starts to move quickly, and immediately you
no!
start to fall behind, sort of trying to keep up with her
Yeah.
pace. And she checks back a couple times.
I'm gonna say, keep pace, keep pace.
I'll get the horses. And she runs and runs and runs. And finally, there's a little... And around the corner from a couple of the trees, the horses come out, and the rest of the crew is riding. Who is on? So you've got 4 horses. Are you each on individual horses at the moment?
Yeah.
I was on a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
I think we're all on horses.
Great. So you see the 4 of them hop up. Here! And she runs up, and who's in the front there?
I'll be in the front.
Great. Jillian grabs onto your horse, and she
Get on!
lifts herself up onto the back of yours.
Can I see that Erland is falling behind?
Yeah,
I'm
Erland's
heading
sort of trailing behind a little bit.
I'm gonna head
Orba,
behind.
she runs up.
Great, and I'm gonna try and, without having it break stride, hop on the back of her horse.
Gosh.
Make an acrobatics check.
Hanging on to the
18.
tail.
18,
Nice.
right? So Orba kind of
Get that!
he grabs Orba's hand and tail and puts one foot on the
Ah!
thing and pulls herself up. And you guys pull up.
Don't do that.
And you guys sort of turn the horses. You guys turn in the opposite direction. And you can hear the rumbling kind of behind you. And it starts to fade a little bit. Do you need water or something? You-
No, I'm good.
You choked?
Yeah.
The excitement of this
I'm joking like flies on
He
the
was
horse.
really galloping. He was really galloping.
Yeah, you swallowed a bug?
Yeah, he ate
Exactly,
one big,
yeah.
one big beetle. And you guys continue to ride in the opposite direction.
So sorry, who's on you? Jillian got on.
Mine.
Julian's on Beezaura's
Right.
horse. You're on the back of Orba's. Graven and Safira
Yeah,
riding along.
keeping up the rear.
You know, so are we riding in a way that we can all talk to each other, or are we riding?
You're riding quickly at the moment,
probably-
and you guys you make your way kind of curving back up to the sort of main higher ground road area.
Back onto where like that stupid thing that.
The boardwalk?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
except you guys are past it now. You can see
okay.
it from here, kind
Okay.
of back behind you, but you are on the other side.
And what does the ground look like it's doing, technically? Like,
So behind you, I mean, it's thick brush behind you, but when you were close to Jillian and Erland when you first picked them up, you
Yeah.
could see the ground like sinking
Uh-huh.
in an area, and it was hard to tell. You didn't see it like go all the way down. It seemed like it went down a decent bit.
right,
it's
so it
not
doesn't
like-
seem like the structure of the temple is like exiting or sinking. It's just they're making the earth.
Yeah,
collapse.
it seems like they're sort of collapsing the earth to keep it from being accessed easily.
Okay, got it.
Or
Or
being
escape
escaping
Yes.
easily.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's kind of behind us.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
fine.
Yeah.
You get up to the main, and you're riding quickly up to the road, and then you give the horses a little breather, and now you can sort of talk amongst the group as you're traveling along.
How far are we from the nearest village? Anything?
It's probably Mukmu. I'm sorry to tell you.
Which is 2 days?
About.
But
day
is
and a
there
half.
a way we can set up camp somewhere near here?
We can, yes.
Is it? Yeah. What time is it?
It's
now?
probably the late afternoon at this point.
I think we all need a bit of a rest, huh?
Let's
Yes.
just get as far away from this place as possible first.
Ride a little further, and when it gets dark, we set up camp.
Agreed.
Somewhere off the road, yes.
So the negotiation went swimmingly.
Yes, it went very well.
Negotiation. More of an interrogation.
Last I knew, I was being exchanged for the little one, and there was going to be some sort of negotiation for
there
your
was
release.
No negotiating.
Oh, no, we didn't get very far.
Find that to be particularly their strong suit.
So what?
We were lucky enough that someone on the inside wanted to get out as bad as we did. There was a Ganassi that helped us. And as soon as we exited, he walked off.
So we? You escaped.
We escaped.
So
We're fugitives.
are we? Is there a sort of in shock? Is there a host of Ganassi chasing us right now?
Possibly.
Yep, that's
There's
very
a possibility that they could be after us, but we have created a slight diversion.
Oh yes, I forgot about the diversion.
That sounds promising.
Yes, it
Do you
was
know
very clever.
Do you know what a jug is?
I am familiar with them, yes.
Do I know what a sugar is?
No.
It's a little chickeny bat.
It's a teleporting beast, and we put a curse on it so that the djinn would think that we were the ones teleporting around the world, but really we're just leaving through the back door.
Clever.
Wasn't our idea.
Hopefully it
The
was
first,
clever.
the first place they will be looking is for this beast that can teleport. So
Do we know why the ground was sinking?
Probably because they didn't want to, whatever was escaping, to escape. They thought
they're
it
very
was-
mad, I would imagine.
They think it is us, but they will be following the Zhug.
Lucky for us then.
Did you get any chess pieces?
No, see, they are the ones seeking their chess pieces. The originals.
Yes, I
Apparently there's
gathered
some
a little bit of that.
original pieces with souls inside, and they wanted to know as much information as I could give them, and I didn't have exactly what they needed.
Well, from what I can tell, I sent Beezaura in, and you all got out. Well done.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Simple.
As simple as escaping from a genie can be. Hopefully the Zhug will occupy them for some time.
Let's
The
hope
good
so.
news is that genies seldom like to operate in the open, so even when they're done with their chase, hopefully we'll be far enough away or public enough that they won't be coming after us.
Well, that's a hopeful thought. Yeah.
For now, I'll take it.
And if we ever do learn anything more about the light whistles, I wouldn't care about giving out information to them if they wanted it.
Yes, but I'm not sure I'd particularly like to go back to visit them in order to give them any information.
Perhaps we'll write a letter.
Perhaps.
Maybe an outline.
You're very good at those.
Yes.
Thus far, we've been to 2 places, and there are now 2 places we can no longer return to. Let's
Yes, making friends everywhere we
be
can.
on our best behavior when we reach Mukmu, shall we? Yes?
Okay.
I'm not sure what that looks like, but yeah.
When I get back to Urin Chupa, I'll put in a good word.
We could use quite a few of those there.
Yes, indeed.
Is the path to Mukmu clear? Is it a dangerous one?
As far as I know, it's fairly clear. We kept to the back roads for a reason. Presumably Blom uses this road if he ever needs to go to Mukmu, get supplies. So, it's our best bet for the moment. Eventually, and she sort of points out a distance, we should meet back up with the Pakar River. We basically follow that all the way up to the basin, and then we're right around the corner from Mukmu.
Great.
Okay.
Do you know how close the river is?
Probably less than a day. Imagine we get there in a couple of hours.
Shall we ride to the river then and make camp?
Sounds as
Seems
good.
like a good plan.
Is that the safest place to camp right near a river?
We can stay inland a little bit. Like I said, there aren't any settlements or anything around here, so hopefully we'll be fairly well covered.
All right.
Can Orba see? I would imagine like Erland has like arms around me or something, right? Can I see his?
Face too.
That's true. Your entire body.
He looks a little. He looks sort of. If you didn't see him do something, he basically looks like very sickly. Like if he had had the flu for a couple of days, with like pale white skin and the veins kind of protruding a little.
Oh, okay. I can't like get a sense that it's something like.
I mean, he definitely looks different than the last time you saw him. But yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know for sure that that's what it is.
Okay. I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, he looks like a little sickly.
Okay.
For sure.
Can I look? Can I see them as we're all riding?
Yeah, you guys are kind of riding more or less side by side. Pass fairly well.
Erland, you feeling all right?
We encountered, sort of looking at Jillian, we encountered a little bit of trouble escaping. It didn't go exactly according to plan.
It doesn't ever seem to do that, does it?
Orba takes out one of the like rations and just hands it to him because I don't think he's eaten.
I'll hand it back to him.
Eat this, you'll feel a little better, I'm sure.
Thank you, Tiefling.
You're welcome.
How are you on horseback riding?
I think I'm pretty good, actually.
All right. Eat the food.
On our way to Mukmu then. I'm sorry we've had a few setbacks, but I am glad that we all made it back together.
Fingers crossed for the rest of our journey then.
Indeed.
And the road continues, without a little disturbance of any kind, for some time. 30 minutes go by. An hour goes by. You guys continue to ride. And the path it's less than ideal for vehicle travel. It's sort of uneven and has kind of a winding sort of gait to it. But the horses move along pretty well. If you guys still had the carriage, it would be pretty rickety. It would be a pretty rough ride. But the horses kind of step lightly, as long as you're not sort of at a full gallop.
Do I notice anything up ahead?
Make a perception check.
It's out of the way.
I won't use it. That's only for birthdays. Mm. 12.
Well, so you guys continue, and it seems pretty quiet here. You guys are it's sort of a lightly wooded area. You see a number of thin trees kind of dotting the horizon in all directions. But the path it does seem like someone has created a trail of some kind. There's kind of a sand, rocky sort of way leading you through. And for a bit of time, it's quiet. And you guys kind of have a moment to breathe, recollect, and think about where you're headed next.
Can I ask Jillian a question while she's behind me?
Sure. She's on your horse, so you could probably...
Yeah,
are you trying to say it without anyone even hearing it?
Kinda.
Sure.
Jillian,
Yes. And she sort of leans up over your shoulder.
I know you know that I am seeking the pieces.
Yes.
When I was questioned by the genies, they said the Baron was already one of theirs. Do you know what that means?
I'm sure that you know the Baron better than I do. But perhaps the Baron is helping them find the pieces?
Interesting. So does that mean that I'm already helping them find the pieces?
You might be. You think you're finding the pieces for the Baron, who's finding it for the genies. That's your train of thought.
It's where I'm headed, yes.
Well, if the genies ever catch up to us, perhaps you'll have acquired a few pieces by then.
That would be fortunate for all of us.
Something you're going to bring up to the Baron when you see him?
Well, I guess we'll see the next time I actually meet him face to face. There's a piece that should be on his way now.
Are you hoping to see him face to face again, or would you rather not?
I'd like to. Settle the score a bit.
Fair enough.
Just wondering if you knew any more.
When we get to Mukmu, I am happy to tell you of a couple of people who might be able to help you out.
Appreciate that.
All right.
I guess, since we're sharing a horse too. Do you intend to stay on with us, Tiefling? This is quietly enough that,
I believe it's more up to Jillian at this point than me. I believe her and I have some talking to do before I'm officially on the team.
Does she not want you on the scouting of the camps?
For the amount that she knows about me at this point, no. If I am to share with her some other things, some other specifics, then yes, perhaps.
I gather from the conversation I saw between you and Beezaura, I gather that has something to do with this.
What conversation?
The evening at the fork in the road before we reached the crossing.
You saw that.
I did, yes.
It's possible, yes. I think Jillian suspects that whatever interest the Gentle Void has in me is causing your mission trouble, is causing interruptions like this. But the way I see it, everybody here is running from something, or everybody here is wanted by somebody.
Do you believe you're in danger?
It's possible. I don't really know what I'm in.
How much did the Halfling tell you?
She told me that Guy Lamar was curious about me, wanted to know where I come from and what I want to do with my life.
Did she also mention that Geed has been trying to find this for quite some time?
This information?
Mm-hmm.
What's quite some time?
I was in the room when she was approached by the Gentle Void.
I thought it was strange you didn't ask any questions when Safira brought it up in the carriage.
Am
with
I that
everybody.
obvious?
A little bit.
They've been trying to put someone next to you for quite some time, Tiefling.
Okay.
Is this news to you?
For quite some time, Yes. I don't know how much time they could have spent trying to get close to me. Up until this day, I have not been much of a traveler. Been in one spot for quite some time. So yes, that is news to me.
I want you to know that I will not let her report to the Gentle Void.
Why is that?
When I was released from the halls of transmutation, I was left rather alone, and I intend to not have that happen to you.
Orba has a little smile come across her face, even though Erland can't see it. Thank you.
Why did you escape the halls of transmutation?
Orba's smile goes away. And she thinks for a moment. And she says, you know when they first talked about the contracts? About the servants escaping? The only way they can identify them right now is if they say they're from the halls of transmutation. So I have no idea what they're talking about, Erland.
What do you mean? What do you mean they only identify themselves?
There's no descriptions.
We know that 2 tieflings escaped the halls of transmutation. And what do we find on the path towards Oran Chupa but a tiefling who seems to love libraries and books? It doesn't require a detective. I'm letting you know we share this.
Okay.
In some way.
And I'm letting you know that unless one of us says it out loud, I am safe. So thank you. And she puts it, I don't know if you're holding any part of me because we're on the horse, but she finds some way to give you a little touch.
Pants?
Stay close, tiefling. You'll be safe.
Thank you, Erland.
And Jillian kind of pipes up now, speaking to the group. I suppose we should have some sort of plan in place for arriving at Mukmu. Like I said, I will put you up at the Lakeside Inn, and I'll be staying with my friend Kelsetra. But if you are bored, not that I would imagine you are, one of you might check with Cedric Skentz. He's the director of reserves in Mukmu, which means he's sort of in charge of security in some regard. And see if he's had any problems with Black Lions or the undead, anything of that kind that we've run into. I don't know if you'll get any details worth mentioning, but it is possible. Mukmu's a funny little place. It's split into 2 primary districts, the sun and the moon. They're not divided by wealth so much as by ranks of good standing. Mukmu used to be an extremely disorganized and lawless place, and after the war, a wealthy ex-soldier named Lee Mellish rallied her friends and created a system of rating the inhabitants on their good standing with the community. The numbers go all the way up to 100%, which is called flawless standing. Anyone above 70% is allowed to live or operate businesses inside the sun. Everyone else is confined to the moon. Now, the moon's not a slum. In fact, Some people feel that it's better for business. There's more people there. Travelers come through there more frequently. But the Sun has more reputable places, I suppose. That's where the Lakeside Inn is. It's where the Natural Studies Institute is. That's where you'll find Cedric Skentz. For the most part, I imagine we'll be doing most of our business inside the Sun. So for a couple of days, perhaps less than, if we're lucky, I'll be conversing with Kelsedra, coordinating with her, make sure that we have some supplies, right number of horses, camping gear, climbing gear, anything we might need for going into the Shaki Mountains. During that time, feel free to cause as little trouble as possible and take care of whatever you need to take care of. Is there anywhere I can direct you to ahead of time?
It's not a very large city. Should be able to.
Probably half the size of Urunchupa, if that.
Would I know off the top of my head how far? I mean, I know that Tuktu and Mukmu are very close to one another, but would I know like how long it would take to get between those two cities?
You've probably seen. You probably have seen a map, even though I know the maps and binders aren't as sort of geographically accurate.
Yeah.
It probably would be a day and a half, 2 days to get to it.
Okay.
One way.
Yeah.
The Natural Studies Institute, is it fairly obvious how to get there?
Yes, it's at the northern end of the Sun. If you ask most people, I imagine they would know. Anyone in the Sun District, I'm sure, could direct you there.
Is it like a public library or?
There are public and private parts. They do a number of studies, scientific experiments. I've only been there once or twice and never really explored it all that much. I think there's a part of it that you're welcome to come into, talk, ask questions. But I think there are parts that are off limits to travelers.
Do they have students? Is it an educational facility? Do they have students? Or?
Not really. It's for study primarily. They don't take on students, but apprentices, I think.
Orba reaches into her bag and pulls out the ceremonial mask. Would they be interested in purchasing relics?
And her eyes kind of widen a little bit as she sees the item. Where did you acquire that?
Well, in all of the chaos of exiting the temple, it may have fallen into my bag as we were running.
Well, you might be acquiring more wealth than I'm able to pay the rest of the party with that item right there. I don't imagine that the Natural Studies Institute has much interest in that, but any one of the vendors in the town square, I'm sure, would be happy to negotiate.
Have you tried putting it on yet?
Don't do that.
No?
It came from the genie's temple.
Yes.
Maybe ask someone first. Someone who knows their magics better than I do.
Please.
Yes.
At least,
It does seem safest.
at least check the potential power before you sell it.
Okay.
Good
just-
one though, Orba.
Well, you know, they didn't seem to like us anyways, so I figured, why not just...
Keep it safe though, okay?
Okay.
It looks fairly unique. If the genies come a-calling, maybe don't be wearing it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not stupid. And she sneaks it back into her bag.
And you guys continue along the path. And the first sign of life that you see along this road appears to be a single person coming in the opposite direction. And he's walking alongside a cart that's being pulled by a mule. And for a couple of moments, it looks like he's continuing towards you. And then it seems like he stops before starting to turn his cart around and move in the opposite direction.
Hello?
I mean, he's in good you're seeing him in the distance.
Oh,
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to catch up to him. You're on
Can I
horse.
ga-
Seeing
Can I take a gallop?
Seeing Orba's impulse towards him,
Go. Okay.
I follow in the horse.
And you're Bajillion's on the back, so the four of
Yeah.
you are going forward. You guys following up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll follow. It seems a little intimidating.
Here we
but
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So the you
We
sort
all
of
just
mild
pass
thunder.
on there.
On a horse?
This
or
little
leading
man
horse?
is-
He doesn't have a horse at all.
He doesn't have a horse. This is
There's a
a
mule
mule.
and a cart.
Mule.
He's leading the mule. Yeah.
Friend, wait!
So you guys go catch up, and he can hear sort of you calling, and it doesn't seem like he turns, but you get up basically alongside
Excuse
him.
me.
And finally sort of noticing that he knows he's not going to outrun you guys. And you catch up to him, and you see a short, stocky man, seems like he's in his 30s or 40s, with a broad straw hat. And he's sort of tugging at the edges of a cloth that seems like he's trying to cover the contents of the cart. So he's got he had a cloth over it, but he's sort of tucking it in, trying to make it seem. And he's sort of, oh, hello,
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
good day.
Problem, sir?
Excuse me?
Problem?
No problem.
What you got in the cart?
Nothing, just my goods.
Can I see if he's telling the truth
About what?
about
But-
whether or not? Well, I guess he just said it's his
There's-
goods.
This is good.
It's his goods. Yes, actually, there's nothing to check on that.
I mean, if you're checking to see if there's anything in there, there is something in there.
You're just covering
No,
emptiness.
actually, we've been traveling for quite some time. Are your goods edible by any chance?
No, not edible goods. Sorry.
Not edible goods.
Has he stopped moving at this point?
He's sort of leading it slowly in the opposite direction. He seems like he's trying to inch away from you a little bit.
Where are you headed, sir?
Just going. I'm trading. Just trading.
Alright.
Excuse me.
Where are you doing your trading?
He sort of gives you all a look. Was trading with Blom. Do you know Blom?
Actually, we do know Blom. How's Blom doing?
I don't know. I'm on my way there.
Right.
Right.
Does that seem true?
Make an insight check.
He's waiting.
13.
13. I mean, he sort of after he looked at you, he kind of had a little heavy sigh. I mean, it seemed like you felt like you weren't going to stop hassling him if he gave you something. So yeah, I mean, it seems like he was headed. I mean, again, along this road, you've been traveling along it. There's isn't that much else to go to.
Genies and Blom.
Yes, theoretically. Yep. Genies and Blom.
Sir, your name, if you don't mind.
Stanley.
Stanley, I'm Graven. Blom's is back the way we came, as far as we know.
Yes. I'm sorry you.
Is there a reason that you turned the other way when you saw us coming?
Yes, actually, I don't see people along this road very much. Almost never, in fact. And sort of came riding at me very quickly, and I didn't want to talk to you.
We're friends of Blom, actually.
Oh.
We were just staying at his.
Oh. And he just stops his cart that's moving slowly. How's Blom?
He's all right.
He doesn't love having multiple visitors, but
Well, Blom tells me to come, so I don't want to.
I just mean it was a very full house for him with all of us there.
Blom's he's, finicky.
Bit of an introvert.
Blom, yeah, he is, yeah.
You trade with him often?
Yeah, I come every month or so.
Mind if we have a peek in the cart?
I do, actually, yeah.
I'm not going to take anything. I just want to peek in.
Well, they're not your goods, are they? They're Blom's, so
No,
he's paid
but I
for
have a
them.
hunch. Can I walk kind of close to the cart?
Are you getting off their horse?
How high is this cart? Can I reach for the cart on
If
my
you
horse?
reach down, you can probably grab the claw.
Okay, I kind of want to reach down.
As you
and
go to
just-
reach for it, he stops. So you're gonna give it a yank. You're gonna have to forcibly yank it. Right. He stops.
Yeah.
Okay, make an athletics check.
13.
13. So you reach down, and he puts his hand out, and you already, he wasn't quick enough, and you already kind of had a fistful of the cloth, and you give it a pull, and he grabs it, and there's part of it that kind of reveals itself, and it looks like a bunch of saplings, small trees, in like little burlap sacks of soil. So there's a little sack, and then like a little bit of tree sticking out, and there's like a bunch, it looks like maybe 12 of them in this cart.
And
maybe
would I
more.
have, would I recognize them?
Make a nature check.
Can we all see it, or just her?
Yeah, you could see like the little uncovering of some of the plants.
That's a 9, right? 10.
10. They look like It's hard to tell because they're fairly young, but it looks like they might be plamba bushes, which is a fruit-bearing bush.
Okay. And that's everything that I can see in the cart.
That's all you could see
That's all
when
I
you
can
pulled,
see.
yeah. And he sort of... and he tugs it back the other way.
I apologize. My friends are... Safira.
Well, he's going to visit a friend of ours. I'm just interested in what he might be bringing him.
You say you're friends of Blom's, but these are his goods, and you just... And he sort of starts to tuck it back in around the corners.
We know that Blom has many enemies. How are we to trust you? That you're not going to hurt our friend Blom?
How am I to trust you? I come here every month almost. Blom puts in an order, I get it, and I bring it back.
Puts in an order for what?
Whatever he wants. I go to Mukmu, I buy him crops, seeds,
Why is it so
plants.
secretive? Crops, seeds, plants, these aren't illegal things. Why are you hiding it from me?
No, but I don't know who you are.
You turned around awfully quickly in the opposite direction.
What? I didn't know if you were
Bit
gonna
of a suspicious
ambush
thing to do.
me.
Ambush you? Have you been ambushed before?
No, like I said, I never see anyone on these roads. That's the problem.
And you thought that 6 people riding up were going to ambush you? 5, 6, no, I'm joking now.
6. Yeah, maybe.
Ambush you for what? What you have in this cart?
You never heard of someone stealing from people before?
Plants? I'm not interested in your plants.
I don't know what you're interested
Safira,
in.
what do you think he's trying to do?
I don't know, but I'm not interested in him hiding it from me.
While Safira's having this conversation, I'm just making eye contact with Jillian.
Sure.
And then I'm looking back at Safira as she continues doing whatever she's doing.
Jillian mostly stays quiet for the moment as she's sort of looking. Jillian has kind of a curious look on her face. It seems like she's not stopping the conflict, but she's not stirring it either.
Yeah.
Look, if you're friends of Blom's, you'll let me go and give him his plants.
We have your word that these plants won't do anything to harm him.
I don't know how to prove it. It's a bunch of trees.
Can Orba whisper over her shoulder to Erland, like, we're not actually going to let this man go back to Blom's where all of those undead might still be, are we?
Absolutely not. We have just traveled the road, friend. There is more danger than usual, I would say. We encountered a great number of undead.
At Blom's house?
Nearby. It would be extremely dangerous for you to travel on your own at this particular moment.
Well, I hate to not give Blom what he ordered. There is a storage shed some ways off from Blom's property that he said if I ever came and he wasn't there at the house, I should drop off the goods there. It's a safe spot.
Where's this storage shed?
I don't know. A couple 100 feet from the house?
Oh, like nearby.
Yeah.
We don't know if there are still... It's less about you being at Blom's house that's dangerous. There are several undead around. You would have to get through them in order to get to Blom's.
They're on the path to Blom's house.
Last we saw, yes.
Make a deception check.
That last we saw, they were on the path, technically.
No, get out of
We're
here.
like in.
They were
Up by the
his
house.
goddamn house.
You don't have to lie entirely.
Last time we saw him, he was in the ground.
20
No,
total.
that was
Literally in his home.
no, that was
So you can see the expression on his face kind of change. I mean, he sees you guys and he's, he doesn't look like a schlub, but he doesn't look like he could take on a number of undead. So he's sort of unnerved by this a little bit. Look, it's a very important order, this one in particular. So I don't want to not deliver. So I'll be really careful and I'll drop it off at the storage shed.
How big is the, it's like a mule carrying a full cart?
It's like a cart that, it looks like a wheelbarrow size. Look a little bigger than a wheelbarrow. It's not huge.
We just want you to take precaution, that's all.
I will do. Thank you.
Can I shoot a look to Jillian? What's her, like, body language saying right now? Is she looking like she's gonna speak up at all?
I mean, not yet. I mean, she sort of raised an eyebrow at a little bit of the conflict brewing, but she hasn't said anything yet.
I'm gonna turn to her. Jillian, is
Yes.
there any reason to suspect that this is, not the mission that he's exclaiming?
I have to say, seems fairly in character for Blom to get goods delivered to him instead of going out to get them himself.
Thought so as well.
Although, you are right, rather cagey about something fairly innocent.
Does the guy have any weapons on him that I can see?
Make a perception.
Oh, close enough.
16.
Looks like he has a dagger in his boot.
I'm gonna get down off the horse.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Just,
He sort of takes a step back a little bit, seeing you at your full height.
I'm gonna get off my horse too.
I'd just like to see. And I'm just gonna go and grab for the
Sure.
yeah.
He doesn't stop you this time. I mean, he knows that you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
You see 12, 13 plants.
That's it. It's just plants.
All the same kind?
Are you going rooting through it, or are you just taking a look? From what you can see, it's just plants.
Are they all the same plant?
They look to all be the same plant.
Can I kind of pick, like, with being careful with it?
Sure.
Kind of just pick one up and look underneath it?
Sure, and this time he moves to stop you, or are you going to push past him? Make an athletics check.
Oh my goodness.
Just,
Band
you
of
know,
ruffians we are.
Athletics?
Plants were so
Yeah.
Natural 20.
Excuse me.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
So he reaches for it, and you keep him at arm's length, and you pick it up, and right at that same moment, he says, "It's just a bunch of buckler plants. It's nothing."
Oh no, my friend.
And there's nothing underneath it?
Nothing underneath.
Why were you so hesitant to share that information?
Blom requested them. They're special plants of some kind.
You don't know
Special?
what makes them special.
The soil has something in it, I think. Something
What in
Blom wanted. I think it's myconid soil. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Blom asked for it.
You think it is, or it is.
There's a man in Mukmu who's come by fairly recently. And I don't know him by name, but if you go to any of the bars in the Moon and you say, "I'd like a glass of lemonade," they'll put out the word that you're looking for. He gets products that have myconid in them in some capacity. And Blom asked if he could acquire soil infused with myconid extract.
When did you get this request from Blom?
A month and a half ago, perhaps.
And this man, he gave it to you directly.
Well, I had to pay him for it, but yes.
What did he look like?
The lemonade man?
The lemonade man.
Human, tall, thin. He had a mustache. Thick one.
Look at Jillian and see, is this
I mean, she's...
giving her any...
Yeah, I mean, she's a little, like, as soon as he sort of said the thing about the mic, I mean, she perked up a little.
Do any of the plants look like either the plants that Blom presented to me when he was training me, or the plant that was in the room by my bedside?
Make a nature check.
That's not gonna do it. 6.
No, it doesn't look like it, as far as you can tell. Again, they're very young, so they haven't, like, bloomed or fruited or any of that kind of thing, so it's hard to tell.
Are there... Okay, so I'm gonna hop off the horse, and Graven's near this thing.
It's like
I assume.
holding one in his hand.
So
still,
yeah, if Graven's sort of looking at them as well, I want to walk over and sort of look at them. Like, pick one up maybe if Graven's already done it.
Sure.
Pick one up, one that
And
seems
he's like, so be careful.
one that seems as developed as possible.
Sure, they're all about the same. but
Right. And like make as if I'm going in to look at it very closely to inspect it and just see if it bends towards me at all.
Sure. Okay. You bring it up to your face. It doesn't move in any way that you can tell.
Okay. Put it back down. I don't know what to make of any of this.
I don't know anything about myconid extract. Blom asked for it, I got it. He asks for weird things sometimes. This time he asked for soil, I got him soil.
What other weird things does he ask for?
Strange herbs, pieces of animals, hides.
How do you know where to find the myconid solution? The lemonade man.
People in town are talking.
Talking about what?
Myconid extract is fairly new to Mukmu. Apparently, somewhere nearby where you can get Myconid extract has opened up, or whatever you want to call it.
In the last few months.
Yeah. People are excited about it. It brings a lot of commerce here. It's not a particularly wealthy place.
This bar in the moon, have a name?
Any bar in the moon.
Oh, any bar.
Was this Blom's first time ordering something involving Myconid?
As far as I know, yeah.
You didn't want to keep any for yourself?
Definitely not. Look what a world of trouble it's already gotten me. It's not even mine.
Look, I don't think you should make this delivery to Blom.
Well, what am I supposed to do with it then? Is Blom dead? And Jillian pipes up. No. He's not. And you're right. He wouldn't like it if he didn't get his delivery. Let him take it to the storage shed.
And be careful.
I will. And he sort of grabs one out of Erland's hands and grabs it out of Graven's hand. And he places it back in. He starts to tuck it. And he turns the mule kind of around.
Pat the
watching
mule as
him.
I walk back over the
Sure.
horse.
So now he's turning back again.
Yes,
the way
now
he
he's
was
turning
originally
back
headed.
towards- I'll keep my wits about me.
Do.
Quietly to Jillian, you're sending this man to his death, you know that, right?
No, we don't know that.
How could you possibly be sure that Blom is alive? You just lied to him.
No, I didn't. Because I don't know that he's dead.
So the guy's name was Stanley?
Mm-hmm.
Friend,
Yes.
if anyone asks, you didn't see us.
He gives you each a look. Make a persuasion check.
9.
He seems like a little unnerved by the
Flip him the
request
silver.
Oh.
and catches it.
Wow.
Don't even know who you are. And he continues to move in the other direction. I don't know what Blom was planning, but I definitely don't want someone else to get a hold of that, which seemed rather likely if he doesn't deliver it to Blom's address.
If he delivers it to Blom's address, that doesn't mean that Blom's going to get it either. Blom could be dead for all we know.
That is possible,
seems the
but
most
then
likely.
no one will have it, and I'd rather no one have it than someone who shouldn't have it.
Agreed. It'll sit in the
Do you know
shed
about this
and no one will see
courier
it.
then?
Is there not
This
a...
courier who might be riding to his death or walking to it.
Where is he going to ride to his death?
If the undead are still there, do you think he can take them with the dagger in his boot?
We did him a favor by warning
Warning
him
him.
of them. If he gets any note of danger, he'll come back the other way.
We were held up considerably while you were toying around in the Genie Temple, and no undead came to get us.
Toying around in the genie temple?
Whatever you'd like to call it.
It's
The
hardly on
undead seem to be
purpose.
not on our trail for the moment.
And I'm kind of like, if you know,
I think we should continue on.
Very well.
Is there a chance the Black Lions get a delivery of Myconid-infused soil now?
You think they're going to pick up that shipment?
Saying that their undead might still be in the area?
I think it's rather likely, unfortunately, that the Black Lions already have access to these Myconid products.
That's probably true.
And if there's a distributor now in Mukmu, it's more widespread than we thought.
I think the new Myconid, I think it's what we're trying to destroy, yes?
It could be. When I was told about it, I was told that it was still in the construction phases, but if he said a month or so ago this man appeared, it seems like they're already lining up buyers.
Does that change the scouting mission at all?
Even more so before, we shouldn't be sticking to main roads. If they're transporting it back and forth from there to Mukmu, we certainly don't want to run into any of them.
Alright, let's just get to Mukmu.
Mukmu. And this time, are you guys sort of getting back up on the horses? You get back on. And Jillian hops up on the back of Safira's horse.
Oh boy.
All right then.
Erland still riding?
The ride was lovely, Beezaura, but I'd like a moment.
Sure. There's always a seat for you on my horse.
She gives you a little
Cute.
And you guys continue along. Let me change up.
Oh, music change?
And moving along the path, another hour passes, and the trees continue to thin out, and the sound of moving water can be heard again. Seems like you've successfully almost reconnected with the Picard River, some distance upstream from the crossing. The river's wider here than it was at the crossing, and it seems to be moving, flowing a little more quickly. And there's a distinct lack of bodies floating through the river, which is a nice change.
Great.
That's good. And there's some sort of pinkish colored fish sort of hopping up and out of the water.
A salmon.
And you see a swan moving along with a few cygnets following closely behind, sort of through the river. And there's a nice sort of serenity about it. And while you're riding along, Jillian leans forward a little bit on the horse. I'd like to talk to you briefly about Armand.
Okay.
I told you before that I don't know why he wants to meet with you in Tuktu, and that was not a lie. But I've been thinking. I trust Armand, but I know what it's like to feel like you're going in empty-handed. I can't give you much, but I think he knows the Furrows. The name only scratched at the back of my mind when I first heard it, but I'm almost certain I've heard him mention it before.
Knows the Furrows in what way?
Armand, as far as I know, has lived his whole life in Antisuyu, but his parents are from Kiiro. I imagine it's possible they've crossed paths in some way. As you can imagine, Armand is a little dodgy about his past, so I don't know a lot about it.
Armand is a little dodgy about everything.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
So what do you think? He's an enemy of the Furrows or a friend?
I honestly don't know if Armand likes the Furrows or hates them. But he has something in mind for you, and I thought if I can give you that much to go in there partially armed, maybe it'll help.
I don't like not knowing what he wants me to do.
I agree. Do you have a good relationship with the Furrows? Perhaps that's the question you should be asking yourself before you see him.
I used to.
Used to.
I think it's possible I could again.
Well, something to think about.
Something to think about, indeed.
And you guys continue. The horse is moving. And a little further on, what's up?
So that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
And then she hits her.
Are they
She stabs her.
Also got the team
I was
steps
like, are
down.
they gonna fight on the horse? I'm like, that could be really intense. Good show.
And you guys follow the shoreline, and you see a small crowd of people,
Oh,
Gather.
Jesus.
partly in the road and partly in the water. A couple steps into the rocky riverbank, sort of no deep than just below the knee, you see a number of people sort of maybe washing, moving their arms a little bit. And there's a few torches that have been stuck into the ground, sort of forming 2 rows of torches, like maybe 10 total, with little flames sort of flickering up at the top, giving off a wisp of smoke. And there appears to be a variety of races, humans, tieflings, elves. Seems to be a decent mix. And they're all wearing sort of long gray cloaks. They don't look expensive, but long gray cloaks. And they have a crown of flowers around their heads. Sort of a little tiara of white flowers around their heads. And you guys continue to move forward.
So, I mean, it looks like some kind of perhaps religious ceremony going on. Do I
Sort of has a
recognize-
wedding appearance also.
Oh, a wedding? Okay.
You don't immediately recognize
any kind of symbolage or anything?
Not from here yet.
Okay.
For now, it's a crowd of people with, these outfits.
Okay.
Has that kind of appearance to it.
How many? A dozen?
Yeah, it's probably like 20 people, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, 20-ish people.
I'm gonna call over to Jillian.
Mhm.
Jillian,
Hmm?
were you expecting to see a bunch of people here?
No, although the farther we get along the Pucara, I suppose the more and more likely it gets that we run into people, civilization. It is a little further away than I would expect. It's a large group to have traveled this far down.
What do you think it is?
Not sure. Get a little closer.
Okay.
The group. And you guys continue to move forward. And as the party approaches, you get within maybe 50, maybe 75 feet, and one of the men breaks from the group, and it seems like he's moving towards you guys quickly, and he's sort of holding his hands out. And he doesn't have anything in his hands, and he seems almost like he's hushing the sort of sound of the horses moving forward.
Yeah, I slow my
You
horse
slow the
down.
horses down. Please do not approach any further. The Lakafuyu ceremony will be complete in less than 20 minutes, and then you're free to pass. Please, it's a terrible atrocity to interrupt. If you would just wait a moment.
What does the ceremony entail?
We come here on the anniversary of Lady Pachala's passing to honor her sacrifice. She was the loudest voice in the room advocating against the abuse of divine powers, and it was here that she was assassinated for her grace and reason. And at this, Jillian leans forward a little bit. This is the exact spot. When people talk about the Battle of the Basin, I always pictured it closer to Mukmu. And the man, it was no battle. It was a massacre. A cleansing hiding behind the guise of divine intervention. Cowardly conduits of gods, drunk with power. And Jillian sort of puts a hand on your back a little bit. I'd like to see it. I knew Lady Pachala. A force of good in this world, I believe, even if her father was not. I'd like to pay my respects. She starts to get off the horse.
Orba slides off her horse too.
Sure. And as you do so, he walks up to you a little bit. Would you like to join us down by the river, young one? It is important for the youth of this world to understand that divinity is not synonymous with righteousness.
Okay.
And he holds out his hand.
Orba nods. She doesn't
She doesn't
offer
take it.
her hand.
He sort of, and he reaches into his robe and he pulls out a little crown of flowers.
Oh gosh.
And he doesn't ask, he starts to put it up. in your hand.
Orba bows her head, but
Right?
don't like it.
He puts it up. And he sort of leads you a little bit, and Jillian follows you. What are the rest of you
I'm
doing
gonna
as this
slip
is
off my
happening?
horse and kind of like bow my head to him and kind of,
Oh, so get down.
You guys do it.
If everyone's getting off their horses, I'm going to take all the horses and sort of tie them up to a nearby tree and...
You have to walk a little bit off, but you can
Yeah, and I'm going to watch from a
from a distance.
critical distance.
Sure.
I can. I want to be able to like hear proceedings.
You might be able to. The trees are off the road enough that if someone was speaking loudly, like presenting, they might hear, but you would have to get close.
Yeah, no, so I want to like put the horses over there
Okay.
and then sort of proceed just close enough that I can sort of
hang out in the back.
hear the proceedings,
Yeah.
but no, I don't want to. I don't want to participate.
I'm gonna follow close behind them, but not just to keep the distance.
Distancing yourself a
Yeah,
little
but
bit,
just
sure.
be there.
Everybody's like stacked.
We're
Well, everyone
stacking.
kind of went off to the side.
10
Jillian and Orba and the man are kind of moving forward. What are you up to?
I'll slowly walk over with Orba and Jillian.
Graven, let's go.
And you guys walk closer, and you can see this sort of congregation happening. It seems like there's a fairly organized crowd. It seems like there's a few rows of people, and it seems like they're separated only by a bunch of people up on the path still, and then there's a little slope down to the shoreline, and there's a few people down at the shore. And as you get to the main group, the man sort of holds out a hand to Graven and to Jillian, and he stops you there, and he leads Orba down to the shoreline. And there's a number of younger people there at the shoreline as well. And they're sort of kneeling in very shallow water, so it's not like up at their waist or anything. It's like, very shallow water. And he motions down for you to sort of sit basically in the front row with these other younger
Orba takes her boots off first and then goes into the water.
Sort of real quick. Lady Pachala in Battle of the Basin, do those...
Yeah, you know Lady Beezaura is Emperor Pachakamic's daughter.
Okay.
And the Battle of the Basin was a fight during the War of Giants, and she was killed in the Battle of the Basin.
And she is Lakafuyu. She was like a leader or a
That's what
figure.
this person's telling you. Had not necessarily
I
heard
hadn't
that
put those
specifically.
Two things together?
Yeah.
Okay.
You said she was the advocate for it's okay. Never mind.
She was advocating against using divine power.
That's
She thought
what it
that was a sin or an abomination.
Is Jillian's nowhere close to me anymore? is
No,
she?
no. Not if you haven't gotten
That's
close.
my
Yeah,
whole
she's not close.
thing.
Can I see where they went? Can I take my shoes off and walk towards the?
Where the younger...
No, not where the younger
Oh.
people are. Just walk towards the river. Yeah.
There's sort of a line there. If you were to get closer, someone might stop you or you'd have to
Oh,
get
I'm
by.
not. No, I'm not gonna.
Sure,
do
that's
it,
fine.
Yeah.
And Orba sort of gently splashes into the water. And an older man is standing there in the water, maybe like calf deep in the water, and his sort of robe is quietly rippling as the water flows.
The lady spoke truths that this material plane needed desperately to hear. Antisuyu is diseased, a plague of bloodlust and megalomania. And we of the Lakafuyu strive to separate belief from celestial gifts. Faith is its own reward.
And he holds up a curved golden blade. And he places it in his palm. And he cuts it a little bit. Not super deep. And he holds it up. And it's just sort of a little trickle of blood down his hand. And he holds it up. And as he does so, people bow. They sort of bow their heads.
I'm saying that. I'll do the same thing.
And he waits sort of for everybody to bow for the most part. And then he closes his hand and he plunges it into the water. And you can see, for the people sort of with their heads up, you can see there's a little visible grimace. I mean, he sort of plunges it into the sort of riverbed and feels the pain a little bit. And after plunging his hand into the water, the flow seems to slow, the river. And it slows, and it more, and then it stops. And it seems to not just be the water, but the people as well, frozen in time. Smiles plastered on faces, grasses frozen mid-sway, and the flames of the torches sort of inexplicably stop. Safira, frozen in time. Beezaura, frozen in time. Jillian, frozen in time. Orba,
Oh God.
turns her head to see Erland, frozen in time. Turns her head the other way. And her and Graven make eye contact, with the rest of the world frozen around them. And Graven hears a voice in his head that he doesn't know where it's coming from.
Heretics, heathens, horrors.
And Orba hears a voice in her head. As far as you can tell, the other person is not hearing these voices.
Foolish, effectless, feeble-minded.
And the voices come through loud. And you look at each other for a moment, and there's this sort of standoff almost. And then the freeze breaks. And music starts. Flutes and fiddles. And the man pulls his hand up out of the water. It creates a splash, and there's a cheering, there's sort of a clapping and a cacophony of celebration as the people break. And they start to move around, and there's a dancing sort of general revelry around you. And the priest is sort of wiping his hand on his robe, and it seems like people are walking up to him and congratulating him. He's sort of shaking hands, smiling, talking to the people, and people begin to move around.
Did we know that we were frozen?
You did not. As far as you saw him. As far as you know, he plunged his hand to the ground, and he sort of held it for a second and took it out. Yep.
Okay.
That is all the frozen people saw.
Can I? Who's near me? Like, is there anyone near me?
You were so you were kind of Jillian's probably the closest to
Can
you.
I kind of wave to Jillian?
Yeah, and she's kind of like, she's enjoying a little bit of the music and such, and she kind of passes by a couple people, and she nods her head a little bit.
I think this means we can clear out.
I think so. I am always happy to pay respects to, I wouldn't call her a friend, but an ally in this world, perhaps. And she turns. Orba and Graven, what are you guys up to?
Walk over slowly to you.
And you guys sort of walk through, and you, as you're moving, there's sort of people kind of dancing back and forth in front of you as the two of you are kind of making, you have to kind of wait for some people to push in front of you, past you, and a couple people. One person kind of grabs Orba by the hands, and kind of the two of you kind of swing a little bit around, and then he lets go and he goes off to somebody else.
Is the feeling like Jillian and stuff are going back to the horses? Like we're...
This was simultaneous, kind of, so it looks like Safira and Jillian are having a conversation off to the side. So there's a moment here before they have headed back to the horses.
Right. Shall we share a horse for the rest of the journey?
Okay.
I think we have some things to talk about.
Okay.
And the dance moves kind of in this general uncoordinated circular motion. And it looks like, as you're sort of moving around, that you can see in the middle, it seems like maybe a memorial was constructed here. There's a number of rocks kind of propping up sort of a board that has candles and a small portrait of what looks to be what you would assume is Lady Pachala. It's a portrait of her. There's people sort of moving generally around this area, and the music continues. And are you guys moving back to your horses? What are you guys
Is
up to?
Jillian coming towards the horses?
Yeah,
now?
she's sort of generally moving in that direction.
Just gonna sort of put a hand on her shoulder and whisper. Lady Pachala wasn't killed there, was she?
There is some doubt. There is also theories that she was killed here, but there was no battle, like the man said. It would not have been the first attempt on her life.
Did you by any chance kill Lady Pachala?
I'm flattered that you think I have that kind of access, but no.
We can go back to the horse.
Before heading back, I'm gonna
Sure.
go take a look at the memorial just to see if there's any.
Yeah, what are you looking for? Anything in particular?
Just, I'm very. It's not quite my crowd, I would have to say here. So I'm just
Are you
gonna-
speaking to someone that's kind
No, sorry.
Oh, no.
Just comes out
of... Just
naturally.
Beezaura's thoughts.
Yeah,
That's okay.
just like in my head, because I'm just like by myself, so I'm just kind of like. This
And
is
she's
all
kind of
a
like
little
there staring
creepy.
at it, and the dance kind of...
Yeah, everyone's just dancing. I'm like, these people are a little nutty, and I'm just like looking for any, just like
Make a perception check.
anything I should be suspicious of.
The
traveling
one guy
through.
sharpening his knife.
Yeah, he's just sitting next to her picture, like,
like me.
15.
15? I
No,
mean-
wait, insight? Sorry.
No, a perception.
Perception, 15.
15, yeah. So you take a look at it, and there doesn't seem to be anything out of the ordinary here. There's a few pieces of parchment that it looks like people wrote like a message to her that just say good wishes, we miss you, well wishes kind of things. There's a number of flowers that have been kind of draped over the edges of the portrait. It's fairly pretty, but nothing stands
No
out.
artifacts or anything.
Doesn't seem like it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you done?
No, just take a look and then I just see Erland and everyone just nod like we're gonna go back to the.
Yeah, I've hopped up on my horse.
Sure.
In the smoke.
As Orba starts walking back, she takes the crown off and starts tearing up the flowers individually.
Sorry, Steve.
Flowers are the worst. You hate flowers.
I don't like them anymore.
I know every time.
And as the two of you, because you sort of met in the middle of the crowd moving, you've sort of moved near to the exterior, and Graven feels a bump, and you turn, and it's the old man, and he's still he's got at this point, sort of a cloth wrapped around his hand a little bit.
I don't believe you arrived with the group. Solomon Wyland.
And he holds out his left hand, the cut one.
Graven.
Do you shake?
No.
And he sort of seems a little offended.
Well, we're so glad that you could join us for this.
Pleasure.
Did you come across us accidentally, or you came to find us?
No, just traveling to Mukmu.
From Mukmu? All right. Best wishes.
No. And he turns in the opposite direction. And you've sort of caught up to Safira and Jillian, who've sort of made their way to the outside of this festive sort of moment here. And Jillian kind of moves up to you a little bit. Do you know that man?
No. I don't think he would like to know me very much.
Perhaps. She starts to move towards horses. And you all begin to move towards the horses. Start to swing your way, legs back up. Who's doubling up here? Jillian gets back up with Beezaura at this point.
Right.
Or I'll
Graven.
follow
Orba and Graven. So Erland has his own horse. And as they start to move sort of past this festival, and the festivities kind of continue, it doesn't seem to be dying down at this particular moment. And as you guys make your way around, that's where we're going to go to a break.
Oh my god. Can I say before I forget that I put my boots back on?
Yes.
I don't.
She's just
You
like,
lost your boots forever.
they're down the river.
There's people dancing with the boots.
Yeah.
Get your boots.
So we're going to go to break. Thank you guys for joining us.
Wowzers. Okay.
Those kind of things creep me out. Like those like cultish kind of
Weddings?
things. Yeah, weddings.
Weddings.
Those for sure.
Flowers.
Those cult wedding things.
When we're back, we'll pick it right back up. We'll take a 15-minute break, and we'll see you then.
Bye.
And we're back. Welcome back from the break. We return to the shoreline, where we've just left this congregation, celebration, memorial. And you continue north along the river. And there's a little bit of time here as you ride along. Is there anything you'd like to address?
Perhaps.
Jillian, how long before we can safely set camp?
And she kind of looks up at the sky. I'm hoping we travel for another hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we settle down.
All right.
Does anybody need any food? And Orba starts taking out some rations.
Perhaps when we set down.
Okay. Puts them back in her bag.
I imagine you're sitting in front of me.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Low key, like not whisper, but quietly. Did you hear a voice?
Yes. Did you?
Yes.
What did yours say?
Have you ever heard a voice like that before?
No.
Never.
No. Have you?
You didn't recognize the voice.
No.
Does the name Kouzny mean anything to you?
No.
I believe we were spoken to by my deity.
What?
He called them heretics, fools. He insulted everyone there. You heard that?
That's not what was said to me.
What did he say to you?
He called them feeble-minded.
Feeble-minded, that's right.
But insulted them.
Yes, he was mocking them.
It's good that we did not dawdle that long. I don't think that they would have looked upon me kindly if they knew that I was a cleric.
Of course.
Whatever god I served.
But why? I understand why you would have this experience, but I am no divine power. Why would I have this experience?
I don't know why he chose to speak to you.
It could have been, what if it was New Kelke? What if it was my god?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just... I don't know. Just keep writing.
Orba lets him be for a second.
And you continue north along the river. And the tree line starts to merge with the shoreline. It narrows an already sort of provisional path following along the Pagara. And the horses are kind of stepping gingerly unless you force them otherwise. Sort of these kind of loose-ish, mossy rocks. They don't provide a lot of traction, but they step lightly and they continue to sort of clop over the heart of the over the ground. And Jillian, sort of noticing a little discomfort around the group. I think when we reach the Lakeside Inn, I'll buy the first round. How about that?
And the second?
I'll buy the second one too.
Cheers, brilliant.
Thank you, Jillian.
Quite nice of you.
Hopefully in the morning after we reach Mukmu, I'll be able to acquire some of the currency that I promised. I can't give you all of it. I'll give you what I can, and you can make arrangements of your own.
Thank you.
She nods. And the horses continue. It's a little quiet, a little solemn among the group. And some time passes. And there's a slight sort of bend to the left in the river. And Jillian immediately, upon that bend sort of continues, she sort of sits up a little bit and peers out over the shoulder of Beezaura. And she can see in the river, seemingly partially maybe washing something in the river, there's someone there. It looks like elven in shape. And she points. I know that elf. Not specifically that elf, but the robes, that's a Rediran elf. You remember back at the crossing when I presented the options of going to Blom's house or heading north to the grove called Redira. Well, that's a Rediran elf. They've got a distinctive look to their attire. It's sort of shredded. They use strips of animal furs and torn garments from enemies that they've bested, sort of more diversely decorated a cloak, the more enemies they've conquered. That's a Rediran elf.
Are they known to travel this far?
This isn't terribly far from Redira, and they do leave. I suppose it's a little unusual, but not impossible.
Are they known to travel by themselves?
No. They usually go out to hunt, or if they need supplies, they'll send a wagon or caravan to a nearby settlement.
How well decorated is the that particular cloak?
Make a perception check.
That one.
It's a gray blur in the distance. The spraying sort of water river. I think it's hard to tell.
And it stings my eyes.
No, not in your eyes. In front of the cloak, so you can't see it.
I can't. Who has the looking glass?
I think it might be me. I think it's me.
Safira, I can't make anything out. Can you see who this might be? If they have a well-decorated garment, if there's someone who might be threatening?
Yeah, so I'll take the looking glass out and kind of.
And sort of, Jillian kind of around you kind of studies the horse a little bit as you look through the glass. And the robes seem pretty well decorated. It kind of has this kind of shaggy appearance, like a number of strips kind of coming out, different colors, some black and red colors mixed in that look fairly familiar to you.
Can I?
And it seems like you can also see, it seems like he's washing clothing in the river. He's sort of dunking it in, he squeezes it, he dunks it in again. It's hard to tell exactly, but it looks like it's cloth or some kind of clothing that he's dunking.
So I'll take the looking glass and put it back in my bag and just say, well, it looks pretty well decorated to me. I recognize some of the colors of black lions, so I think he might have slain some of those.
Oh, well, I like him a little more already.
So do I.
The Rediran elves and the Black Lions do not get along.
Are Rediran elves hostile in any way? Should we be worried?
Not usually. Not if you present yourselves as friends, or at least not willing to harm them.
Then let's present ourselves as such.
Let's not draw weapons or
Words.
yell at our friends.
He doesn't have anything suspicious on him.
Let's wait till we get a little closer.
I'll lead the way.
What?
Can Orba start trying to cast ritually comprehend languages?
Are you steering the horse? You're in front.
I'm in
there?
front.
Then
Okay.
no,
No,
you wouldn't be
okay.
able to do that while you're doing that.
That's fine.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay,
while you're
that's
doing
fine. Just asking.
Let's go talk to him then.
Okay.
it. Zara? And she sort of motions. And you get up to him, and you see a full-blooded, he's tall elf with this sort of tattered clothing, and it kind of, as he dunks into the water, the sort of strips kind of dunk and they spread out, and then they come back up as he kind of comes out of the water, and there's sort of water flowing off of it. And he has sort of a pinched, severe face, and it looks like a little bit behind him, maybe 5 feet stuck into the shoreline, is a spear. It seems like he sort of stuck it in there and then went to wash something in the river.
As we're approaching in Elvish,
Is everything all right, friend?
And he looks up briefly to you, and he continues to sort of ring out the thing. What do you want?
was that in common tongue or?
He speaks back to you in Elvish.
Okay.
Just wondering if everything's okay.
It's fine. And he goes back. And Jillian pipes up a little. Pat Nanursin. And she's sort of doing a bad pronunciation of Elvish. She's saying good afternoon in Elvish. Would I be mistaken in my assumption that you hail from Redira? You would not be. I called it my home for many years. He continues to sort of rub. Called it your home? And he sort of stops for a moment and looks up.
Radira will soon be lost. The magic that keeps our grove safe is waning. Yola thief eranoa.
And you guys can understand this. He says human filth.
The Black Lion's gotten smarter or luckier.
And he sort of... And it seems like he gives up on what he's doing and he kind of throws it into the ground. And it floats kind of up to the surface. And it looks like it's a pair of trousers, bloodied, and too small for an adult. It seems like a child's pair of trousers.
Their shamans grow more powerful by the day, inexplicably. They're receiving help, which is bad news for Radiran elves.
Politically, how would a elf who hates humans feel about a half-elf?
Oh my god.
I don't think you know the answer to that.
No? Okay.
There isn't enough of a generalization. You don't know the Radiran elves specifically. I mean, that could vary a lot, depending on...
Okay, so it's not like a surefire bet that he's like, you suck.
No, definitely not. Not necessarily.
Can I point to the trousers that he's watching and Elvish ask, who do those belong to?
My son.
I'm sorry to hear that. What happened to him?
We're setting up an encampment nearby, and he points sort of off into the woods. A temporary settlement to serve as a safe haven for Radiran refugees until we can make a suitable permanent relocation elsewhere.
Is all of Radira abandoned, continuing in Elfish?
No. There are those who stay and fight, but it is futile.
Why do you say that?
The magic that the Black Lions possess is far greater than we are capable of keeping
The
away.
Myconid solution makes them too strong.
Maybe. I was one of those fools who stayed in Radira too long, and now I've paid for it.
And your son?
That is the payment.
I kind of like hang my head for a moment and like say, sorry for your loss.
And Jillian speaks up at this moment. Sort of, she's hearing the Elvish, and she can maybe pick up a word or two, but she doesn't speak it as far as you know. The Black Lions, you come into contact with them more recently.
Yes.
Would I be correct in assuming that you've done some scouting, counterintelligence, looking for perhaps the source of their new powers? And he kind of looks up, and he gives her a little annoyed look, sort of.
We have. You can talk to one of my scouts if you want.
And again, he kind of motions, kind of like jerks his head in the direction of where he pointed before, the sort of temporary settlement or whatever that they've set up.
How much do you know about the Black Lions?
What do you want to know?
I want to know who's their distributor.
I don't know that.
Do you know anyone who would?
You could go to the new camp they have set up and ask them there if you think you're likely to walk out.
The new camp the Black Lions have set up.
Yes,
Where's that?
in the mountains.
We have a common enemy, for what it's worth. We fought the Black Lions yesterday.
Until recently, the Black Lions were everybody's enemy. What I want to know is who's their friend. Do you know this?
No, I think we've been asking the same question.
Trying to find out the same thing.
Good luck, then.
In common tongue to the group, he said there's a Radiran outpost of refugees just in the woods, and I gestured to where he had gestured.
Does it seem like maybe a good place to make camp?
I think it's both a good place to make camp and perhaps a good place to learn a few things about the circumstances we're getting ourselves involved in.
Did he have any more information?
He's right here. You could always ask him.
He speaks common. They were speaking to him in Elvish, but
Yeah.
Jillian spoke to him in common.
I don't want to read it. Nothing more you could tell us?
Like I said, you can talk to my scouts. They're in the camp.
Anyone in particular?
Sketskier.
What is your name?
Daldoon.
Daldoon, I'm sorry for your loss.
Sure.
In Elfish, was it a common barbarian that did this?
They made a number of raids into Radira. They were all dressed in black and red. Seemed like barbarians to me. I don't know if you're asking me something different.
Asking you who needs killing.
Hopefully we will find that out soon. Perhaps before Radira is truly lost.
I hope so too.
Sketskier, is he in charge of all of you?
No. In charge would be Nol Noir. He was in charge of the relocation camp. Sketskier is merely a scout.
Did you fight any? Did you find any undead when you were fighting the Black Lions?
We have fought many undead. The Black Lion shamans practice it.
Yes. That's why I ask.
We fought them before, recently. They didn't just acquire that ability.
The only bit of information that I think we have is that the Black Lions have been trading in, you may already know this, copper and glass. Brass? Brass or copper?
Copper glass.
Copper and glass in excess recently.
I had heard it.
Does that...
Do you know who likes to buy a lot of copper and glass?
The Black Lions, apparently.
Do you know why they might be doing that?
No.
Would we be able to possibly set up camp with your group?
You can ask Nol Noir.
Will do.
I won't stop you.
Maybe we'll see you back there then.
Maybe.
Will you stay? Will you move on?
I will stay to make sure that this mission is complete.
The relocation mission?
Yes.
Where are you relocating to?
We don't know yet.
Alright.
Most of Antisuyu is spoken for at this point.
I'm gonna sort of turn my horse over to where he said the camp was and start to trot in that direction as I'm leaving just in Elfish.
We'll be at the camp. If you need anything, I can help.
I'm gonna start to ride that direction.
Doesn't say anything in response.
I'm gonna ride kind of up close enough to him that I can pull something out of my backpack. This is super weird, but I still have a bottle of... It's opened, but I imagine that I jerry-rigged it shut again sometime of wine.
The
And I'm just
Molifer
gonna-
wine?
Yeah. And I'm just gonna place it down next to him and just leave with, Erland.
Everybody else?
Be well.
Jillian, we should go.
Yes.
See you at the camp, sir. And we ride off.
Is what we're doing with it?
Well, I was riding.
Oh.
With me, yeah.
Great. So you guys ride a little bit in the direction that he sort of pointed, sort of through, weaving in and out of a few trees. And you enter into a small clearing. Seems like there's 12, 13 elves. Various states of recovery. It seems like some are sort of bandaging some minor wounds. It seems some are sort of sharpening weapons, kind of flint and steel. And you see arrows being counted out. Someone's got like them all sort of lined up, and he's sort of grabbing them in bushels and tying them and sort of laying them aside. And one elf sort of seeing you approaching, gets up, and he has a similar sort of shaggy, that kind of appearance, although it seems like it has very broad shoulders, like they're up high, these sort of shaggy pauldrons, and he kind of comes up. Who are you?
I'm just gonna put, since I was leading, I'm gonna put sort of, as much as I can, holding a horse, put my hands in the air and say, we came across Duldoon, in Elfish, we came across Duldoon, he pointed us in your direction.
And he looks around, and he sees, you all have weapons, so he's looking around.
And then in Elfish, also kind of with my hands up, we mean you no harm.
And Jillian, we mean you no harm.
We fought the Black Lions yesterday. We came here to help, to exchange information. It seems we have a similar enemy.
If you leave your weapons at the edge, you may sit.
Is there a place to safely store them?
He sort of points to a tree. He's implying that you leave them somewhere.
I'm gonna walk over with my horse to the tree, dismount, take my weapons off, put them by the tree, and tie the horse.
Say to everyone else,
He wants us to place our weapons by the entrance to the camp.
Is this a safe place? Was this place raided, or were they raided elsewhere?
I don't know.
Who are you talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, I guess we're close. Sir, is this a safe place?
Safe as any for now.
You weren't raided here, you were raided in...
No, we've been doing the raiding. There is a reservoir nearby that we're trying to clear so that we can set up a temporary settlement there.
Right.
We've been clearing it of owl bears.
Oh.
Of what?
Owl bears.
You know.
Idiot.
Owl bears.
more like
Come on, Erland. Owl bears.
They're more like bears.
Yeah, I would imagine. Very well.
We're resting up before we go again. You may sit if you don't bring your weapons.
Walk over to the
Sure, yeah.
And Jillian follows your lead. She didn't understand some of the Elvish, but she follows your lead.
She go put stuff down. Come on.
I'll do it as
hold on.
well.
Orba puts the daggers and all of that stuff. She's keeping a crystal in her bag.
shakes out a bag full of weapons.
Cling, 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 cling.
It's like this little thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I'll put my flat
And he
in.
watches you all put your weapons down.
Are they all wearing like a decent amount of armor that would make it tough for them to climb a tree?
They're all wearing like leather armor.
Okay, so they
not
could
like
pretty
plate.
easy. Okay.
They look fairly mobile.
Yeah.
Are you Noel Noir, sir?
I am, yes.
Orba, it's nice to meet you.
Beezaura.
Where are you coming from?
Originally, Ornshupa.
And?
We're on our way to Mukmu.
We got distracted and fought some black lions and some of their undead.
A lot of people fighting black lions nowadays. Used to be mostly just us.
Seems that way.
Magic held strong for a long time. Seems that time has passed.
What dispelled this magic that kept the black lions at bay?
I don't know. Every once in a while ago, a black lion would make his way in. Snuck in somehow. But now we get whole raiding parties, groups. They come from all directions.
What are they looking for?
Us. The Redeer and Elves know the area very well. Know how to scout it. Know how to move around without being seen. I don't think they like that.
So they're interested in the area?
I think they're interested in keeping whatever they're doing a secret. And we pose a threat to that. Or we did.
And what is it that they're doing?
Not sure exactly. Skitskier has been scouting a number of areas. He made an illustration of a new camp that's been set up. Sketched the buildings, the terrain. We're hoping to use that to our advantage at some point.
And
Where
at
is
this,
that at?
Jillian kind of perks up a little.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you mean a harvesting yard of some sort?
It is possible, yes.
Run by the black lions?
At least helped by the Black Lions
Where would that be?
in the Shaki Mountains. On the side closest to Mukmu.
How long of a ride is it from Mukmu?
To the camp, to the mountains. Maybe a day.
Okay.
Were you planning on raiding the camp?
That sounds nice, but our number's thin. It becomes more and more difficult.
How many do you have?
Willing to go back?
Willing to raid?
Not a good question for me. We are the ones who are trying to get people out of Radira. The ones most likely to raid are probably still there, in the grove.
How many remain in Radira?
A couple hundred, maybe.
Slowly getting outnumbered by Black Lions, most likely.
I don't think there's anything slow about it. Look, you all seem fine, but we have business to do. We're resting up before we go out to fight the owlbears again.
Mind if we rest with you?
No, please.
Could we talk to Sketsir and perhaps get a feel for his map?
You all seem fine, but I'm not really in the business of giving out information for free.
What would you want in return?
You could clear out some of the owlbears, I guess,
Oh, goodness.
We'd have to rest before we do anything like that.
if you need to.
How many would you say are left?
It's difficult to tell. The reservoir's fairly large, but you clear out 2 or 3. That's pretty good.
Anything we should know about them?
They're fairly vicious beasts. You could talk to my soldiers or Sketskir. They're fairly adept at hunting them. I'm not trying to extort you, but we need every bit of help we can take.
I understand.
Understood.
We'll rest and figure out what our next step is. We'll let you know.
Please. And he kind of moves away. And Jillian leans in.
Do you think we can take the owlbears?
Perhaps, if we're careful.
Is there time for this?
Normally I would say no, but that map sounds critically important.
I'd have to agree.
Any bit of information that we don't have is good information.
Okay.
Can we tell them our true purposes?
I don't know. I wouldn't. There is, of course, another option. We could take the map.
Steal it.
We have any reason to believe these people aren't also trying to fight the thing we are.
Right now, I would say our interests align fairly closely. Radiran elves are... They don't like to mingle with other cultures. Their willingness to see us now is mostly out of desperation. I hope you realize that.
Yes, which is why. What advantage do we gain stealing it?
We don't have to fight the owlbears.
The way I see it, the man just lost his son. I would help them.
Anyone else like to
I
weigh
have no
in?
interest in stealing this map.
It is quite tempting. Just to sneak in overnight and...
Absolutely not.
Perhaps we rest, sleep on it, make a decision in the morning. We're not fighting owlbears tonight.
No, we're not.
Or do you suggest that we...
I got the impression that they were going out at least within a few hours. Maybe time for a short bit of respite.
I'd have to agree. If we're going to do it, we should do it as soon as we can.
No.
A full night's sleep and they might have cleared them out, in which case we don't get the map.
At all.
Oh, we'd have to fight them now.
Take a little bit of a time. They're all waiting now to lick their wounds.
We need to rest.
If everyone is against stealing the map, I suggest the short rest and then we go out.
She sort of runs her hand along it. Not everyone's against stealing it. But I obviously don't plan on doing it alone, so...
You want to steal it?
If it goes wrong, is it really better to have these Radiran elves attack us than the owlbears?
My estimation, based on where they're currently at, is they won't go chasing us.
They are otherwise occupied. But also
Still, do we
otherwise
want one more
disturbed.
group of people who despises us? Are we really going to walk through the world and piss literally everyone off? Is that our goal?
Does it really matter?
Of course it matters. Eventually we might have to traffic through these fucking same parts again. I don't want everyone to hate us.
And I'm willing to bet that if we shut down an entire camp, the camp that's basically driving them away from their homes, I'm willing to bet they'd forgive a little stolen map.
What if you
You
told
make a
them?
good point.
What if we told them what?
Look, I'm not leaving here without the map.
They made
So our
their terms
options are
perfectly clear.
to take a short bit of respite and track a couple of owlbears, or steal the map.
Do you have a plan on how to steal it?
No, but
Brilliant.
we
I
know
think
who the
better
scout
plan-
is, so we have an idea.
Where it could be.
Yes, I can sense that nothing could possibly go wrong.
Of course,
that.
something could go wrong.
We could all get eaten by
Brilliant
owlbears as
idea.
well.
Something could go wrong when I get a claw to my face.
Yes, or an arrow.
Safira,
You're saying, what makes you so
Do
sure that they're not going to come after
not
us?
threaten her.
I'm not threatening. I'm saying, don't they shoot arrows too, the elves? I just assumed.
They have
'Cause
weapons,
they have.
definitely.
That's what I
They have
meant. I
spears,
meant like
arrows.
their
That came
weapons.
across as a threat.
It came across as a threat.
I didn't mean it that way.
Look, you obviously know my preference, but I will do what the group wants because I think we need the map. So, are we fighting them, or are we devising a plan? I'll fight alongside you.
Look, I don't want to fight anything either. I just don't think it's a particularly good idea to walk through every area that we go through and piss everyone off.
Tiefling, do you still have supplies to recreate a map, perhaps? Do you have ink? Do you have parchment?
I have all of those things.
I don't think we should leave them with nothing if we do get the map.
We could
Means steal the map, have Orba recreate
recreate
the
it,
map, and then
put it
leave.
back.
And return it?
Leave it behind. Depends on how well stealing the map goes, honestly.
Excellent. A couple extra depends in our plan.
I don't know if that's the most time efficient either.
Not if we steal it very well and no one notices we steal it. That's all I'm suggesting.
Who is this map of value to besides us?
Them, apparently, if they want to.
Sounded like they weren't going back to me.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Perhaps we tried to negotiate again?
No.
I think our only options are already laid out. Graven?
I think we should take it. If we can.
It is right here.
I want to make direct eye contact with Erland, and then in Elvish, do you want to steal from these people?
No. But I also don't want to die today.
I say we go for it.
Orba?
Well, either way, we're not resting here tonight, so...
We could rest up a bit right now, not a full night. Wait for some of them to go on their hunting mission. Hopefully they leave the map behind. I can't imagine that's something you take with you.
And when it's dark enough, make our attempt.
Look, we all have to be in on this or not.
I'm going to be in on stealing it, but I would like to do my best to make a copy of it rather than take it.
right. If you don't think that puts us on further risk.
We'll assess the situation when we come to it.
What's kind of around this, like, area? Are we sitting, like, on a log of some kind?
Yeah, you guys are
Like,
sort of seated on some
fire?
turned over trees. I mean, there's a couple lean-tos that have been set up as sort of temporary, and a few of them are sitting around, sharpening weapons.
So
or
if I
sort of-
wanted to go off and, like, rest, then would I, like, lie on the ground?
Yeah, you
Or,
guys
like-
would be leaning against your pack up against the tree. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not-
so I'm gonna...
you have a bedroll.
I know, yeah. I'm gonna walk sort of, like, away from the conversation to a tree and just kind of start to rest.
Okay.
Jillian,
Yes.
who do you suggest goes in there?
Well, I think step one is finding out which of these elves is Skidskier. Identify which bag is his. I think that's our best lead.
Maybe, well, I was going to say one of us could distract him, but if he's going on the hunt, then we might not have to.
I have a feeling that after I have a little bit of a rest, I'm going to be the one who's stealing it.
I don't need to rest right now. What I need to do is sleep.
Well, we can't do that.
I know. If you need to rest now, I can find Skidskier and talk to him. I obviously will mention nothing of the man.
Let's hope
But
so,
I'll find
Erland.
but I can find some other information. Perhaps if they've gone on scouting missions, there's things to be learned.
With you being an elf, I consider there be some sort of a brotherhood.
Half-elf, so hopefully.
And
Better than me.
maybe you could report back to Noir that we are not in no shape. We would like to help them, but we aren't in shape to go on this hunt
Tell-
with them.
Maybe
Tell him what to
tell
do.
him we're still mulling it over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's not say
Right.
We're out
let's
completely.
not say no until. Better ask for forgiveness than permission.
Right.
All right. Jillian seems like she doesn't have much. She has a little flimsy bag that she seems to sort of plop down and she sort of sits.
Take off my bag.
Sort of relaxing. Beezaura takes off her bag and just strips herself of some of her heavy possessions.
I'll come back and get you in half an hour.
Be careful.
Be wise.
Those are two things I'm very good at. Thank you. And Erland walks off.
It's like just rest this short enough to get like HP back and have
Yeah,
a short
we'll
rest.
do. Yeah. So
Yeah.
this will be a
Okay.
short
Okay.
rest.
Cool. Let's go.
So everyone except for Erland is taking a short rest. So anything that recharges on a short rest comes back. And in addition, you can spend your hit dice to heal.
Right.
So anyone who's hurt can do that. So on your front page, it'll say your hit dice. So you don't have to roll all of them. You can roll up to that many.
Oh,
So what does yours say? 3d10?
yeah.
So you can roll your first d10, see what you heal,
Okay.
and then you can use another one if you want. You just don't have to. You don't have to use all three at once.
And so what he was just saying is you can roll the first one.
I'm
say
gonna
you
use
get a
my
10,
arcane
and
recovery
that would
too.
be the only one you want to do. You go to
yes.
30 and then you stop. You still have 2.
Okay, when you finish one.
Is 0 10?
Zero's 10.
Oh.
Yep.
And then recharge when you do a long rest. So
I would say roll a 10. Just roll
And
a
then
d10.
if you want to heal more than that, you can roll another one.
Is that it?
Yeah.
yeah, I think so, right?
And they recharge when you get
That's a
long
10.
rest. So
I think
the
I
zero is
think I would.
sure, you can take another one.
So
you guys take
So you could do another one to try to heal more, or you can say,
It's pretty late, so odds are you won't be using hit dice again until you do a long rest, and they recharge. So you can use as many as you want now,
Okay.
or as many as you
so what was
have.
I
that?
might
And that was
just heal
4.
Four.
Do another one?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going. Mad.
Everyone's like snoozing really hard.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to be sleeping, right? We can just
No,
be
yeah,
chatting.
it's like relaxation,
So there you go,
rest,
you got
no
the-
strenuous activity.
So then I do
6.
6.
So you guys know what you're doing.
Fuck me.
Yes.
do we write on here that we used all
Yeah.
used all 3?
Yeah, just put on there that they're all
Yeah, just mark how many you've used.
That does the trick.
So the group sort of sits in relaxation a little bit, and Erland approaches the camp where the elves are sort of seeing. You see
Oh, so that's sort of like the resting is happening a little off to the side.
a little bit. Yeah, you guys. They didn't plop down in the middle of.
People just walking on. We're napping here.
I mean, they can definitely see them.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
close by, but. And you see an old Noir there. He's talking to one of the other elves.
It seems obvious that it's him.
You can recognize. Well, No Noir's the one you already spoke to.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, Noir. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking for Skid.
Yes, Skidskier, you don't know who that is yet.
Great. Is there like a random person around?
There's a guy who's, again, one that's like, he's got a pile of weapons, he's sharpening the weapons.
For the sake of ease, everything is here is Elvish. For the sake of ease. So just some random person.
Yeah, he's sort of shining like a blade.
Friend, I don't know if you saw us enter or not.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
We myself and my travelers met Duldoon on passing through, and he directed us to camp here to rest a little bit.
Great.
Duldoon said I should speak to Skid Skier.
And he puts, again.
That's me. Hi.
He mentioned I should speak to you. We've been fighting the Black Lions for the last days. Days are long. It's hard to. We've been fighting the Black Lions.
I've been fighting them longer than days. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure. Anyway, in the immediate moment, it seems that we have a common enemy, and I thought that perhaps we should compare notes.
Look, No Noir's already talked to me.
Non-noir?
I'm not supposed to give you any information. Unless you ask. That's what he said.
Any information at all?
What do you want to know? Can't give you anything about the camps. Can't give you the map.
I'm not. I already spoke to Noir myself. I'm not asking for the map.
Alright.
We found out that, and you may have seen this, we found out that they were collecting large amounts of copper and glass from trading posts. Do you know anything about this?
And he kind of looks over your shoulder and makes eye contact with someone behind you. And he kind of comes back to you.
Does it seem conceivable that that'd be non-noir?
Possibly. You can't see behind you, but someone.
I knew.
Yeah, in the general direction.
behind
These
me.
are the plant eyes in the back of my head.
He goes.
There's like little tree knots that like open up.
He sort of looks behind you and. I don't know.
Does he have a bag near him at all?
Sure. There's a satchel there. So he's sitting on a stump and there's a satchel
Is
there.
he sitting near like a tent of any kind?
There's a couple lean-tos nearby. You're not sure that one's his or not. It's hard to tell. But
Great.
there's a few set up, so.
What do you do to pass the time around here?
Fight the owlbears mostly.
And then rest up and fight them again the next day?
Till we clear them out, yeah?
I don't know owlbears well. Tell me about them.
They're pretty fearsome. Come at you, claws, sharp beak. Big as a grizzly about, maybe a little smaller. They're tricky because they fight each other over territory, but when one of them's threatened, they come to each other's defense. You develop a strategy where you kind of lock one down with a trap or a net or something. Fight the other one, then you come back for that one.
The ones you're going out for now are ones that are already in traps?
No, we're going to set a few traps. See if we can pick off one or two, so we don't fight them all at once.
Right.
You coming to fight with us?
We're resting at the moment, and we'll see how we feel once we're done resting. We've, like I said, lots of fighting today.
Well, I'm not terribly fond of non-Redirans, but we could use the help.
I understand. Does anything do I see the map? Does anything he has?
Bag's closed. You can
Bag's
see into the
closed.
bag. Yeah.
But like the bag is large enough that it could conceivably fit a map
It's like a
or
knapsack.
something like
It's
that.
a bag, yeah.
And do any of the lean-tos near him seem to be his?
It's hard to
Or is it
tell.
seem, or is the vibe? Is there a welcome match? Yeah. But like, does it like what the structure of the camp? Does it seem that like it's sort of general lean-tos, or does it seem like each person sort of has their own thing?
It looks like based on the number of lean-tos, there's at least more than one person to a lean-to if they all went to sleep for the night. Like there's this sort of central area where people are resting, healing wounds, sharpening, and then the lean-tos are kind of in a semicircle sort of around this area.
Yeah.
So he's close to probably two of them behind him. You can't tell which one's his. They all look fairly the same.
Okay. All right then. Well then, are you heading out to the
fight the owlbears?
I will be, yeah.
When does everyone leave, roughly? When do we need...
Probably hoping to set out in maybe an hour and a half.
If we don't assist with this particular owlbear expedition, I assume there's one tomorrow and the day after and the day after?
No, we're hoping to have them cleaned up by tomorrow morning. At least enough of them that we can start building at the reservoir.
Right. Well, either way, I'm sure we'll see you soon. In an hour, you say you leave?
Something like that, yeah.
All right.
You'll see us packing up.
All right. I'm gonna start heading back to everyone else. What is anyone else seem to be doing anything? Not out of the ordinary, but like like Noel seemed to be like of obviously higher status, and I know that people are preparing things in different ways. Is there anything is anyone doing anything out of the ordinary, or does it seem like there's anyone who else has power there?
The only one that has a distinctly different outfit is Noir, and they seem to be fairly mundane tasks. I mean, it seems like they've, as you sort of sense, they've settled into a rhythm here. They go out, they fight a couple, they come back, bandage wounds, rest up.
Do I see any owl bear traps? I assume they'd be pretty intense.
Yeah, then you see a few sort of hunting traps off, near where one of the guys like bandaging himself. You can see a few traps there. Yeah.
Okay. Because I assume owl bears are bigger than elves.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So how?
Yeah, they're like he said they're slightly smaller than grizzly. So they're
So what kind of traps are we talking about here?
There's like a tooth trap, like it.
Oh, like
clamps.
a bear trap.
Yeah, like a bear trap. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And I mean, they look pretty big. I mean, big enough to.
And they're pretty obvious. Like you couldn't hide one pretty easily.
No, not without concealing it in some way. It's big. It's big enough that it's like I don't know, this big. Maybe like the jaws open up.
All right. I'm gonna head back to our group of people.
Okay. Is anyone sort of before Erland heads back? Was there anyone that wanted to catch up with each other, sort of as you're resting? Safira kind of went off on her own, but
yeah, if I could have a conversation. Yeah.
who would you?
Oh my goodness.
Myself.
With myself.
Yeah.
I want to be alone with the thoughts in my own head. Thank you. That was great.
Jillian.
Yeah.
Quietly. We've already managed to get ourselves in trouble a number of times and get separated a number of times. Know that I will see this mission for you to the end, but is there any way we could put some kind of a failsafe in place? Perhaps the information that you have, could you relay it to Kelcetra or someone?
Kelcetra knows it.
Good.
If something happens to me, you have my permission to ask her.
Thank you. You also seem very skilled in finding people. And again, you don't have to tell me now, and understand that, again, I will see this through, but is there would you be able to help me find someone?
After we've dealt with the camp,
Yes.
perhaps. I'm not big on personal favors, no offense. But we could come to some arrangement, perhaps, yes.
Okay.
I think a lot of that depends on the manner in which we complete our mission.
Right.
I have very little doubt on your accord, loyalty, your strong motivation. I do worry that perhaps you'll run into someone who has the information that I do and you'll scurry off into the dark.
While it would be tempting, I promise I won't.
Even if you found out where it was?
Obviously it is time-sensitive information, but... No. I would not.
I appreciate that.
Well,
Holland, maybe not so much. Hoping you come back.
I know. We'll see about that. Well, thank you, and obviously I hope everything goes to plan, and we won't be needing the failsafe, but glad to know it's there.
Does this plan weigh on your mind as it does Safira's?
The morality of it?
Would you rather take the fight? More honorable approach, perhaps?
Perhaps. I would trust your judgment, though. Seeing that you've dealt with these before.
It's true. Seems every day we run into something that might threaten our ability to wake up the next morning. That is what is my primary concern at the moment.
Truly. I know though also that you may have trepidations of having Orba come with us.
I have some, yes. I simply do not know enough about her. You must realize I spent months preparing in advance, selecting very carefully.
I don't think that she has anyone to go to.
You say that like that will ease my mind. Something on your mind?
I will vouch for her. I will... She's about the same age as I was. Never mind. I feel responsible for her.
That's lovely. It is. I don't say that mockingly. But vouching for her is barely more than anything at this point. If she gives information to the wrong person, if she turns her back at the wrong moment, because I don't know her and I don't trust her, that doesn't do me much good when I'm lying in the dirt, does it?
True. She showed no signs of that yet.
So far, so good then.
So far, so good. No. How about this? Know that I will keep an eye on her. In both manners, then.
All right.
Thank you.
And she sits back. She looks over in Beezaura's direction. She gets up and she moves over there. Beezaura.
Just when I was about to start relaxing.
Well, don't let me stop you on that accord. May I sit?
Of course.
She does. Back against one of the trees. I appreciate you sticking up for my plan. I know that at the Genie's Temple, maybe you didn't volunteer so much as I volunteered you.
That seems to be how it went.
It's not personal, you know.
It's not.
If I can get one person out of there, it simply has to be one of the people that I hired in the first place.
I understand that. Would have been nice to be consulted with about your decisions, but...
I was worried you say no.
Well, I've created quite a camaraderie with these folks.
And with Safira? A camaraderie with her?
It's been on and off.
And what's your evaluation of this situation? Should we be worried about Safira?
Sometimes, she has strong opinions, no?
Yes. Not worried about that so much. Strong opinions are all right, as long as you see reason.
What exactly are you worried about?
I'm worried that when we sneak off to take this map, that she's either not going to help, best case scenario, or does precisely the opposite, worst case scenario.
Her hesitation to the plan was concerning, I'd have to say.
And if she looks like she's going to do something stupid, will you step in?
I have no problem standing up for what I believe in.
Good.
There's been a few times where she has not gone with my side. So, I'm kind of a by any means necessary kind of person.
Is this the camaraderie you were talking about?
Right, as I said, with most of the folks, it's been there. She has shown a little contempt towards me.
Well, we'll keep our eyes out. Hopefully, we won't have to do anything.
I believe in our mission, and I'd like to see it through.
Good. I hope that you'll be an important part in this next step when Erland comes back with whatever information he has.
I'm very good at sneaking around.
I believe that. A useful skill, no doubt.
In the future, try not to divulge too much of my information, please.
Okay. I'll try.
Much appreciated.
And she gets up. And she leaves you. Is there anything else before we go back to Erland?
So I kind of picked a tree far away from the troll, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way for me to kind of like, we've rested for a minute now, right?
Yeah, it's been a little. This is during the rest, this sort of period of
This
relaxation.
sort of-
Yeah,
this
so as
is-
long as you don't do anything strenuous during this, you still get all the benefits of your short rest.
Is it strenuous to like kind of try to go like
Where you going with this?
Try and go find a bunch of owls.
Climb a tree, take a poop. Like, what are you doing?
Punch an owlberry in the
No,
face.
I just kind of wanted to wander over to where the soldier camp is. Can I move at all?
Yeah,
Can I wander over
right.
to where the people are kind of like building traps and stuff?
That's true. Over to me, isn't it?
Yeah, Erland's.
over by there.
This was happening simultaneously,
Is there
so Erland's over
someone
there.
working on a trap? Like,
There's not like working on it, but the person closest to the traps was like tending to a wound. He was like wrapping an arm in sort of a cloth.
would I know how to build these traps as a ranger? Would I have experience with this?
These ones are metal. They've been forged, so you don't have the supplies to, but you might know. You certainly know how to operate one. Definitely, you've used these before, sure.
Okay. I like, yeah. I'm just kind of observing. I'm kind of like want to hang back, like lean against a tree, and just kind of observe.
Sure. You take a look, and you see Erland. He walks over to the one guy who's sharpening the weapon. You see him have a short conversation. You see that sort of exchange happen where the guy looks over, and you can see on the other side of Erland that at one point you see Nol Noir kind of look, and they just kind of exchange a look, and then you can see him turn back to Erland and continue the conversation. So you see that whole exchange happening.
Okay. And where in the forest were they saying that the owl bears?
Like
were?
deeper into the forest from if the shoreline's here, you went into the forest, and it would be they were sort of motioning in that direction. There's a reservoir a little ways in to the woods.
And would I know like sort of what direction that would be if I wanted to?
Yeah, you could. You could also attempt to track them as well, which you're good at.
Yeah, can I kind of like check for tracks?
Make a survival check and make it with advantage because owlbears are monstrosities, which is your creature type. Yes.
Monstrosities.
Okay, well I'll take the 19.
Yeah, that's
What was it? It's
You don't want the
survival.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
survival.
one seems good.
21. So you can see some of this area clearly. They pass through here. You can see some of the damage of the branches, sort of a telltale. Some of the low branches have been snapped and torn off. That looks like they've traveled through. You can see in some of the trees near, like some of the trees that have leaves with little pockets of seeds or berries, you can see like beak marks, like pecked beak marks. So you can see that they've traveled through. This area clearly houses a number of these.
Okay.
And you could follow them through the path. If you're going really out of the camp area, that would end your long rest. You wouldn't, so
Right.
that would become not sort of
Right.
a routine activity.
Yeah, and I know where are my weapons?
and kill all of them.
Where are the weapons stored? Like, where did we put our weapons?
Your weapons,
down?
they're close. They're probably close to where Jillian and like Graven sat down.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna stand here and continue to kind of observe.
Yeah. So this all happens, and Erland makes his way back.
Real quick, with my speed is half. Does that do anything for out of combat sneaking around?
If you needed to travel a distance quickly, yeah, it could affect out of combat. Yeah.
Okay.
Within, like, you can still move sneakily within 20 feet now that you're halved or whatever it is.
Yeah, 20 feet.
Yeah. So as long as you don't have to sprint more than 20 feet, like trying to get away from someone looking, then it shouldn't affect it.
Cool. So sort of finishing my conversation then, and sort of seeing Safira away from the group in this area. I walk over to her. So
Reluctantly.
That
Safira making me come on.
that we'll stay in Elfish, but just I'm gonna get very close to her so she can't hear, so that no one else can hear.
She's also pretty far away from the group, or enough that you can.
Yeah, but I mean like the other elves, just like I know that she moved a little bit toward. Yeah,
sure, that's easy enough.
Tell me you're not thinking of doing anything stupid.
What does stupid mean to you?
Where to begin? For one, it looks like you've left our group for a moment. What are you planning?
I'm just looking around.
Lovely.
Lovely. What does lovely mean?
We need you on this.
You need me on what
We
exactly?
need you.
To do what?
Help us steal
No.
this map.
No,
We need you.
I'm not doing that.
You're not stealing it.
No, I'm not. You can
I
do
don't
whatever you
say
like to,
this.
I'm not doing it.
I don't say this because I really care about your feelings or anything.
I didn't think that you had.
Whatever it is that you want from Jillian, which must be something,
Okay.
I would hazard if you don't start participating in group activities
I participate in lots of group activities.
adequately.
Adequately.
I would-
I'm sorry, my
if I
performance
would-
has been inadequate, has it?
If I were you, I would.
You're not me, though,
Sure,
and you have no control over what I do.
I don't.
So the
I s-
answer is no.
I say this as advice. If you want to
Advice.
keep.
Oh, I don't need advice from you, but I appreciate it. I really do.
Look, if you're not with us in the morning, that's not my fault then. I tried.
and I'm walking away. Do I see Jillian?
Yeah.
Great.
She sort of had just finished talking to.
Going over to Jillian. Is Graven next to her
Next to Jillian.
at this moment? Are they still there?
No,
Oh,
'cause
no,
they
she
were
moved over.
talking to
Yeah, yeah.
Beezaura. Yeah,
closer.
so Jillian's Beezaura's closer.
I'm gonna look at Jillian.
Yes,
We're stealing this map.
that's the plan.
Safira's not going to.
Is she going to stop us from stealing the map?
I don't know. And frankly, I don't really care anymore either.
I do care if she tries to stop us.
Do you have a problem?
I have a problem because if Safira tries to stop us, our plan blows up in our faces and we're likely fighting more than just one grumpy half-elf.
So then which one of us restrains her?
Oh, wow.
If they see us restraining her, they're going to approach us. So what's the play there?
I don't know, but you're right, we can't steal this without her.
At least not without her tacit approval, or if
Oh,
not
I
approval,
don't think we
tacit acceptance.
I don't think we have that right now either.
Excellent. Would you like to tell everyone we're going owlbear hunting then?
You don't have to tell me what you have over her, but now would be a good time to leverage it.
I don't think she's going to do it, even if I do that. I'll be sure to give Armand my review of her services.
That doesn't help us now.
No, it doesn't.
We can't tell the group, because we also can't just get in a 6-person argument over what to do in front of everyone.
I'm aware of that. Like I said, are we going owlbear hunting then?
Do I see them like right in front of me having this conversation?
They're pretty close, yeah. You can't. They're speaking quietly, but you can definitely see them conversing for sure.
Can I notice that something's not going that well?
Yeah,
And
you can
walk
see all
over?
sort of heated discussion.
Can I walk
yeah,
over?
Definitely.
Is there a problem?
This is exactly what I'm trying to prevent.
Erland, what can I do to make this go smoothly?
I don't know. I'm truly at a loss.
Is there something we can distract her with?
I actually have an idea.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Well, let's hear it.
We all know that Safira's not shy about her love for drinking, no?
And?
Anyway, we could give her a little too much tonight. And...
Well, we have to do this now.
Right.
That is either the worst plan I've ever had,
Or
the best plan I've ever had.
Which one of us does she... I have an idea.
All right.
Do we have any alcohol?
I'm sure we can find some around here.
I don't know about that.
I'd be willing to approach it.
The Tiefling. The Tiefling is the only one she likes.
All right. Does the Tiefling have a stash of booze in her bag?
Surely the elves have some booze.
Do they? Do we know that?
Doesn't everyone have booze?
The last
Do
wine
refugees
we saw...
carry booze with them?
I don't...
I know where one bottle of wine is.
Back with the man, with the elf.
So we tell the Tiefling to take Safira to drink with the man with the dead child as a sort of commiserating
beverage.
ritual, collective mourning of some sort.
And one bottle of wine amongst 3? Is that likely to get her so drunk that she cannot intercede?
While they're doing that, we steal the map.
I would like to knock her out, but sure. As long as it's a distraction.
Do we have a plan for getting the map?
Well, I know who Skier is, so...
All right.
But Orba was the one who was possibly going in to get it.
Well, it sounds like we're down one tiefling in this plan.
She also has that magical hand of hers.
She also has to agree. Let's not forget that part.
I think she will.
All right.
Or I could be the one to offer the drink with Safira.
Do you think you can manage that?
As a sort of coming together.
Over the man's dead child.
We, once again, have had a interesting relationship.
This plan is tipping ever so slightly in favor of the worst plan I've ever heard.
Or we just find alcohol somewhere else here and give it to her willingly. Not...
Why don't you try it? What other choice do we have?
to go back and share it with her.
Why don't you try and...
Or find more.
At the very least, get her to leave this camp for some period of time.
Okay.
I don't know what else to do.
The worst she could say is no, we have to devise a new plan.
All right.
And the backup is we fight the owlbears, I suppose.
We get our weapons and head forward. Shall I go?
Give it your best.
How long is this? How long does the short rest last? Just by the way, just so that we.
You guys have probably been resting now 30, 45 minutes.
Okay. So how long do we like to get the full benefit of a short rest? How long do we have to rest?
We'll say an hour.
An hour. Okay. Cool.
So I go over to Safira.
Sure.
Take that long walk.
Sure. She sort of saunters over all casual like.
How are you, Safira?
Well, I'm brilliant. How are you, Beezaura?
All right, recovering, getting a little bit of rest in. I know you're not exactly for the plan.
No, I'm not.
I understand where you're coming from.
Okay. So you also don't want to steal from these people?
Bit on the fence, I guess.
Interesting. So you probably do not understand where I'm coming from then.
It's possible to understand, but not necessarily be on the side. I just wanted to come over to say that when you offered Daldoon the wine, I thought it was a very commendable gesture.
Okay.
And I also felt sorry. I just not very good at manners all the time.
Yeah.
I was wondering, would you go with me back to him
What do you want?
to share in a glass and
You want to steal his wine that I gave him because he's mourning his child?
no, enjoy it with him? He seemed quite upset, and you seemed to soothe him very
I'd
well.
rather be alone.
Are you sure?
I would rather be alone if I just lost my child, yes.
The worst you could say is no.
I don't want to go. I gave him a gift of that seems there's something wrong with that, right? That's not. I don't know if that's helpful. I don't know what the best thing to do is. I figured if it was me, I'd want to drink it. I don't know.
You'd want to drink alone,
Yeah,
mourning a child and his bloody pants.
What did the bloody pants have to do with it?
This is quite morbid,
it's not
don't
funny.
you think?
It's not funny at all. But it says something.
And Jillian and Erland see them giggling, and they're like, "Keep it up."
Best plan in the world!
I just thought,
But you just said you're not good with manners. Is there something?
right, which is why I asked
and
you
I'm thinking,
to come along.
she kind of has an idea, and she calls out Orba.
Orba's been reading the Prayer to New Calcade, the draft paper, this whole time while everyone's doing stuff.
Orba, Beezaura, tell her what you think we should do.
I offered to Safira if we went back to Daldoon and shared in a glass of wine with him and help soothe him from his lost child.
Yeah, but my thinking was that was odd. That's an odd thing to do.
Just thought it might be nice rather than leaving him alone
You're
out
good at
there.
these things. Is that an odd thing to do?
I'm good at these
I
things.
don't know. You always know the curtsing and the bowing and the whatever that is. That you're good at that stuff. Well, I don't know. You know what I
Oh, you mean I'm polite?
Yes, you're polite.
No, and I'm just kind of,
Yeah.
Orba's on the, like Safira's
Yeah,
in between
Safira's
us, and I'm just
looking-
kind of looking at Orba like,
Catching her eye.
Okay.
Do I notice that?
No, you're looking
no,
at
you're
Orba.
looking at Orba.
Well, I mean, I think it's.
She's stuttering. She doesn't think it's a good idea.
Well, I know I've never experienced mourning such as this before. I would imagine being alone would be very difficult in that kind of a situation. Experiencing loss and being alone is very bad.
What am I going to say to him? I don't know. What do you...
We don't have to say anything.
Well, I don't want to sit there and silently stare at him and go, well, sorry, you lost
We'll
yourself.
drink
I'm just going to silently
and-
stare at you as I steal your wine.
We're not stealing it.
Well, I gave him the wine now. Well, by the way, I'm coming back. I'd like to have a glass if you don't mind. That's a bit odd.
I actually don't think so. If we just
I-
gesture, sir, we'd like to share this with you in honor of your son.
Decision
There it is.
It's all right.
I wouldn't think that's rude. At the very worst, he says no thank you, and you turn around and come back.
Exactly.
You two want to go do this together?
Yes,
Well, that's very nice.
I thought it'd be.
Yeah, all right, fine. Yeah, you do the talking. I don't know what to say to him.
Sounds fine.
Yeah.
I do the talking and.
So I'll follow her to...
And Orba, are you going with them?
Yeah. Do you need more company or?
Not sure there's enough wine for 4 of us. You can stay.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure there isn't.
Tend to your work.
Well, you know, the last time I had any alcohol, it didn't. And I don't know if I like it so much.
Yeah, you should
I
stay
remember.
Okay. Well, enjoy. I'll let them know that you're going.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yeah, be back soon though, because you know.
Of course.
Okay.
Did I notice that?
Yeah. Well, you
I
I
know.
think
like
she was trying to
the
imply
plan.
the
Like,
stealing
this-
of the paper.
Yeah.
She's not trying to hide that from you.
Yeah.
Right, we all know it might happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shall we then?
I'll let them know.
Thank you, Orba.
Have
And
fun.
they start to move. The two of them start to move off, and Jillian and Erland kind of watching are like pretending not to notice. And you guys start to move. What were you up to? Sorry.
Oh no, Orba was just gonna like turn around and see her other friends and like try to figure out what
What's
just
going on?
happened.
Jillian's purposely not making eye contact
Okay,
with Orba.
I'll look at Graven. Okay, and he smiles, so I just walk over to Graven.
And the two of them start to move through the camp, and you see some of the elves who are kind of working, kind of watch you guys as you head back towards the shore. And as they're moving, you hear a little crunching, a little and sort of pushing a sleeve aside, a branch aside. You see the elf that you met by the river, Doldur. And he sort of, the two of you kind of came up close. You sort of didn't see each other as he was pushing through some of the brush.
Daltoon.
Oh. Sorry. And he sort of steps aside as if to let you pass.
Sir, we were actually coming to see you.
Why?
We wanted to share in a drink and honor your son down by the river.
And he reaches his hand up, and it's an empty bottle of wine. I thought... I'm sorry.
No, it was a gift. Don't worry about it.
Do you have any more in your own stash?
Yes.
Would you like to still go and...
Look, you don't have to say yes. Just, you might be lonely.
That sounds nice.
It's always good to be in company at these times.
Yes, but... the reason I came back... someone rode up.
Who?
Older human man. Said he was looking for a Safira. Was that one of you?
That's me.
He's waiting.
Alright. Then can I look around and where's the tree where I have my weapons?
It's fair, I mean, it's probably 20, 25 feet away.
So I'm gonna walk over and like grab my stuff.
Stuff, yeah.
Safira, do you want me to go with you?
I think I should go alone.
Okay.
And can I kind of like gesture to him to show me lead the way?
Please be careful.
I'll be back for the drink.
Of course.
He sort of lets it go, and he leads you. You walk a little bit, and you get to sort of the edge of the tree line, and you see a man on a horse. A human man.
Do I
Yes.
recognize this
In
man?
his 50s. He has nicely adorned armor, black, purple, shining silver. And you see General Colonel Massive sitting on his horse. And he's sort of waiting there, perched on top, and he leans forward a little bit and spots you. Where's your friend with the cloak?
Is it important where he is?
Not really. It's not the cloak I'm looking for.
Yeah, I know.
It took us a while to track you.
Yes, it did.
The other side of the Pucara River, that's tricky.
So, what do you want with me?
You going to Mukmu?
Was planning on it, yeah.
Would you like a ride? And he looks over, and there's a black and purple carriage with a couple horses hooked up to it, and he's got a couple other men.
Are you
Couple-
asking or are you telling me?
And he smiled. Asking.
Well then, by all means.
And he sort of moves the horse slowly, and you walk alongside the horse, kind of up to the carriage.
You switched the cloaks.
Yes.
Will you miss it if you don't see it again?
I think that part of my life is long behind me.
I hope not.
What
Not
makes
for
you
what
say-
I'm about to ask you.
Oh, good. What are you about to ask me?
Like I said, let's take a ride.
And he goes up to the carriage and he swings his leg off and he hands the reins off to one of his men and he sort of opens the door of the carriage.
I'm gonna step up.
You step up and the carriage comes. And he comes in and he closes the door and he turns next to you. And that's where we're gonna end.
Oh my god!
I can't believe she just went.
Oh my
Well, that takes care of that.
Ditched us.
She didn't want to be part of that plan anyway.
Solves our problem.
I know, it's like, well,
Solves
I
our
had a
problem.
great plan, but that's fine.
You did have a good plan. That was a good plan.
That's where we're gonna end for the evening. Thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you.
Chapter 19 next week. Zoe will be absent, talking to Lieutenant Colonel Massive. Not General, I said General.
Oh,
Lieutenant
what a
Colonel
good
Massive.
wait. Oh my god.
So we will have a guest for next week. And thank you, Jordan. Was there a couple thank yous?
Yes,
you wanted to-
Comrade Tordell had the bits of 519 bits,
Is
and he
it
did
Tortel or
5.
Tortel? We were asking that.
I say it both
Please,
ways.
Jen.
Tortel.
Set us in the chat.
Yeah,
Which one
let us
do you
know.
think?
Send the-
Tordell?
Or we'll just keep mispronouncing
Genetic
it.
corruption.
And then he
Please.
gifted 5 subs, which was
Thank you very much.
fantastic.
Awesome.
Shades of Blue, Professinator with more bits too. Tony Jabroni with a sub. Thank you guys, everybody.
My mom
Thank you.
tried.
Thanks,
She tried tonight. Not
They
sure what
tried.
happened.
They tried.
Appreciative clap for the.
Solid clap for Myrna if she's out there. We don't know what happened.
Oh, and Kwame also subbed.
Oh,
3 subs.
thank you.
So thank you,
Yeah,
everybody.
thank
If I missed you, I'm very sorry.
Yes, well, if we missed you, we'll definitely let you know. Say it next time.
Thanks
And
for all
if
the
you're-
birthday bits.
happy birthday, Graven.
Oh yeah, if you've subbed but you don't know how it works, you can send us a little message and we'll put you in our guest book, which is the start and end of every stream. You can
We'll
write
play
a
at
little
the
message.
end of this, and you can take a look.
They're
There's-
good.
We only put the good ones in. If you write a crap note, we won't put it in.
And it is Tortel, so.
Tortel.
I like that more anyway.
More sophisticated.
Join us next week. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
And
Well done.
we'll pick it up there in this Redeer and Elf camp. See what happens. Good night,
Oh
everybody.
yeah, wait, they were saying if you were gifted a sub, yeah, you should be able to still put a
Yes,
message
you can
in
put
our
it.
guest
Yeah,
book.
if you were gifted a
Absolutely.
sub, you can definitely put a message in.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Go wild.
And if the message is like, I hate this stream, but I got gifted a sub, we'll put it in.
That's one we'll definitely put.
Amazing.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night. Bye. you